Hello! I believe I'm live, but I never quite believe it until you guys tell me. And there's so many of you in there. Hello, Stephen. Oh, Stephen's second. Looking forward to Sunday afternoons. Afternoon show. Indeed. It is Data Merge, isn't it? Data Merge. Hello, Carol. Hello, Autumn Marie. What a beautiful name. Good to have you with us. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Kim. Hello, Deb. Oh, that's a full complement of Debs now. We're a Deb down, isn't it? Do we have a full complement of Carols to go with it? Hello, Jonathan. Should I say good night now, Jonathan, or are you feeling strong tonight? Let us know. Right, who else have we got? We got Peter. Hello, Peter. And I hope I don't miss anybody. Hello, Carol. Oh, we missed you last night at book club, Carol. Oh, it was a good one. It was a good one. It was a reading one. And I did do my reading. We didn't get that far. We're still on chapter 1. But we had a heck of a time doing it. Oh, did I say hello, Renee? Anyway, hello, Renee, if I didn't. Is Graham there? Graham is there. Hello, Graham. It's like John Boy, this, isn't it? Good night, John Boy, only at the beginning. And Tony's with us. Fantastic. Hello, Sarah. And I think we're all in.
Sarah's been watching Viewpoint. Episode 5's available until the 2nd of May, 11 o'clock PM.
Thank you for that. This is a fiasco we discussed on Marooned at MacBites headquarters. And it was indeed a fiasco. But never mind. We've got it all sorted now. Right, so I need to press some buttons. And we're good to go, she said, hopefully. You know what it's like. Oh, Carol watched me in the replay. Fantastic. How did I sound? It was like, Bo said, Elaine, and I thought, oh, is it working? Is everything working? Can you hear me? Oh, it was good fun. It was good fun. Right, okay. I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of The Waltons. But I should probably watch that, shouldn't I? But let's get going. Episode 126. Oh, it's been an interesting week. Now, whether what's on there bears any resemblance to what we're actually doing, I have no idea. It's been that kind of week. But that's the plan. There's been an update to Craft, so we'll have a look at that. Good addition. So if you've been trying Craft, you might like the new edition. It's a good one. Wish Notion had it. So I'll really egg the pudding, and then maybe Notion will pick up on it. There's a new version of Camtasia out. Yes, I have it. Am I using it? Are you kidding me? No. Not for real. No, not yet. But I'm going to cover it more next week. I'm going to give you the brief details this week. Then we've got digital post-it notes. Who does not want digital post-it notes? That's something that I've looked at for a long, long time. Never gone that way. And now I have for a reason, so I'll share that reason with you. Then we've got part 2 of our Canva thing. I'm going to go pro live in the show, and I'll build the brand kit up. This one could probably go for another couple of weeks, there's that much in it. A bit like Mike's Infographics, which you are continuing with, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I managed not to put the extra R in it. I always put Infographics. And Mike tells me he spells it wrong the same way. Then we've got Mastering the macOS Finder, part 2. We did so much last week, but trust me, there is a long way to go. And Mike looks at me when I say, I can't get to that folder fast enough. I need to deploy a trick. And he's like, well, open the Finder and click the drive, and then click the folder, and then click the folder inside. No, Mike, it's got to be faster than that. So that's what we'll be doing in there. But before we get going, we broadcast in 1080p. Make sure you're viewing it in 1080p. YouTube hasn't played with my mind this week as much as it normally does. But what did it do to you, Mike? What are you at?
That's a good question.
Hasn't even noticed.
720.
Oh, they've been bad to you, Mike. Get it in the right one. Get it in the right one. And while you're down there is a like button if you enjoy what you see. It would really help us out. So, what mischief have we been up to this week? Glad you asked. It's never quiet here. Saturday, normally we manage 8 shows on a good day. But it was 10 shows. Because we snuck an extra one in and then realised we'd not prepped anything specifically for St George's Day. So we snuck in the VE Day celebration, didn't we?
VE.
Which we're playing again this week because it's actually VE Day. Or next week. Or
next week.
Is it this week?
Next week.
Next week. There you go. So that'll see the light of day a few times. We then went into Marooned at MacBites headquarters. It was going to be a bit dicey though, because you know what it's like at 8 o'clock. We go into by request, but there was the jeopardy of another order. So our theme was St. George's Day. So anything with George, we had George and the Dragon, didn't we? We had Puff the Magic Dragon. And Andante. Glad you asked. St. George's Music Shop. So I could get it in. Then there was the Asda order, which was quite a big order as I recall. And it got complicated, didn't it? And Mike was missing for quite some time. But never fear. On Sunday, was a day of rest. No, not here, never. Worse than that, poor Mike and his football. It does play with his mind, you know. Especially when they ground out, and after an agonising 90 minutes for poor Mike, they ground out a 0-0 draw. This doesn't happen in American football often, does it? If at all. There's always something going on. Whereas in England, you can play for 3 weeks and it still be 0-0.
When America had the North American Soccer League back in the 70s, there was no concept of a draw. If it was level after 90 minutes, they used to have a shootout, but not a penalty shootout. They used to dribble it from the halfway line, and then they had to shoot from the penalty area.
I don't think our players could manage to walk from the halfway line. I'm reading all these resolutions. Whoa! Debbie S definitely won tonight. Does it go as low as 240? It's a wonder you could see a thing. Anyway, poor Mike, but it's all right. His day improved. He then got masked up, ready for a Morrison's delivery. Now, we don't have a Morrison's delivery often, so it was a big occasion. Because we don't have it often, Mike didn't know what was going to happen in terms of, like, was it the Asda guy who sanitised his hands and put a mask on?
Yeah, he did.
That we like. But this, less so. But you can see there his computer, where he's looking at MacBites. But he's also got the iPad up with the CCTV on. Isn't that car the same one that's just parked outside there now? It's not ours, where he keeps an eye out for them. So yeah, Morrison's brought some treats for us. That was 3 days running. But it actually, Mike lucked out that night. It was 2 ladies in a car. So no big vans or anything, which was interesting given that the ice cream was some of what they were delivering. But never mind, it all got here and it was all fine. At which point Mike got slung out so I could put book club on. But still on the How to Take Smart Notes, loving it. I think we've got an extra week now as well. I think we're going to the 30th of May. But, big dilemma. Book club started at 8:30 and Line of Duty started at 9. I must admit, I dipped out for 5 minutes to watch the first 5 minutes of Line of Duty. Because they left us on a cliffhanger. If you've not seen it, I'm not going to spoil it. But they left us on a cliffhanger and I thought, I can't wait till this is over.
Nay.
See the cliffhanger.
Nay.
What? Nay what?
Nay. Well, that's horses, isn't it?
Yes, that's horses.
Oh, okay.
Never mind, leave it alone, Mike. So I did watch the first 5 minutes. Cliffhanger, duly sorted out. I dutifully went back to book club and I watched Line of Duty later on demand. Now Monday. You know what the weeks start like here, don't you? You're actually sitting there and you're waiting for what food adventures happened this week. Well, just a quick catch up if you or you just need reminding. There's always some adventures here with food. This has all happened since Christmas. So in the last 3 months, we've had the frozen chicken, frozen chicken with a baby chicken. We've had the cooked chicken, the eggs, and the tomato. What's missing? Because that's what happened this week. Do you remember the pub that there was a big scrap outside? They had a barbecue. And the majority of it was left on the wall. Now we have onions and some salad added to the mix. One can only speculate what next week will bring. If you want to put some suggestions in, feel free. I'm thinking that's a piece. Is it like that's zucchini at the top, Mike? I think it could be. Beans and bacon. Yeah, we've not had any beans. You're quite right. So I dread to think what would happen with the beans. Or noodles. We've not had rice either. Oh, so as the world opens up, because, over here they think it's all over. Oh dear, so they're all opening up. Anyway, that was our giggle, but then we got this email. Oh no, just in case you're missing it, great start to the week. We're intending to carry out maintenance work on Tuesday, 27th, at 7 o'clock British summertime. This is our radio host. Just a minute, that's when we're live, you muppets. It's all right. We had a backup plan. But Monday was like, oh, now we're going to have to think what the backup plan actually is. Also on Monday, Oh, 17,000 subscribers. So thank you very much if you're subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, why are you not subscribed? It's actually gone up by, I think, another 75 in the last 3 days. So I don't know what's going on there. But thank you very much if you are subscribed. At least the note ended. The day ended on a positive note, didn't it? Having said that, iOS 14.5 was released. And totally against my better judgment and logic. Total insanity. And I installed it. And later in the week, you'll find out how that went. But on Tuesday, if you remember, Tuesday was when we were having maintenance. Fear not. We outwitted them. And we did get on air, and we stayed on air. They were off air for 30 minutes, precisely. Which would have been a bit of an issue, wouldn't it, Mike? The last time that happened, we hijacked Brooklands, which probably... If anyone was listening to Brooklands, that would have been a bit of an issue. But Tuesday, this was still Tuesday at this point. Oh, Debbie hates the new YouTube app. Kicked you back to 240. I mean, 240, really? Oh dear. So it's still Tuesday. I had a job to do. Now, Apple's idea of functional design, well, we should all know this, shouldn't we? Because announced a week last Tuesday at the Apple event was the new iMac. Functional design. Not saying it's not thin, because it is thin. But imagine doing a job. So what does the reality look like when you are trying to get a simple job done? Brace yourselves. That is reality. Honestly, it took me way longer than it needed to. If you're wondering what's on there, that's my 2018 MacBook Air. It was a simple matter, she said, of ripping a DVD. The one with the disc sticking out of it at the back, the silver one, that's an Apple one. That is an Apple SuperDrive, which wouldn't work on any Apple device I had at this stage. It kept saying you need power, you need a different port. That will not plug in directly to that. So I thought, right, well, we'll put a dongle on it. So I put the dongle on it. Gave up in the end, as you can see, and put the Samsung on it. Then it wanted the power for that, so then I had to plug the power cable in. And you can see the other cable nesting at the back. Oh, really? Could I get any work done while I was doing that? No, I could barely breathe. Because, you've got a DVD in there, and if it jumps while you're doing what you're doing, then it doesn't work. So while I sat there pondering it, the insanity of it, I pondered this. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. The design is how it works. Steve Jobs. Yeah. And that is what he meant? I don't think so, but that could just be me. I'd much rather have something. Just imagine a machine that was a little bit, not quite so thin, but you didn't need all that mess to do it. And if you're wondering why on earth I was fiddling with this goes back a long way to an order that I placed. I think it was the second week in January, and it only arrived this week. Oh, it's one of my favourite films. It's a Disney film. It's for kids, I know. Should I pronounce it? Is Tracy in? Or would I get away with it? If Tracy's not in, I might get away with it. Il gatto venuto dallo spazio. Or The Cat from Outer Space. He's called Jake. I've not seen it in years, and I wanted to see it. When it didn't show up for 2 months, I'm like, this is possibly I'm going to die before it arrives. But no, it arrived, and I've managed to get it on there. Talking of cats, that takes us neatly to Wednesday. Yeah, you probably don't need it pointing out that cat wasn't perched perilously on the top of a fence until it saw Lola. But she was just being friendly. The cat, less so. So this was while she was out on a walk, and I do believe I recognise that place, Mike. Isn't it near Tesco's?
It is.
Right, that's near Tesco's. Tesco's is about a quarter of a mile from where we are. Hold that thought. It does look like the cat from outer space, to be honest. Before you start feeling sorry for the cat, she spent the rest of the day terrorising poor Lola. That's our garage roof. So she must have followed her home, and Mike spotted her hanging about behind the garage roof. She got bold. Very bold. Even bolder, she sat there like a praying mantis on the top of the fence panel. Poised, ready to attack. Poor Lola. literally followed us home. Lola ensured that said cat didn't raid her toy box, though. So she was there, wrapped around her toy box. Didn't mind the cat in the garden much, but she wasn't having any of her toys. Oh, like I say, never a dull moment. Mike said, you know that cat? Because he'd sent me the picture, the first one. He said, you know that cat? I said, yeah, the one at Tesco's. Yeah, it's in the garden. I said, what? Our garden? Yeah, followed Lola. Which took us to Thursday. Thursday was a great day because it was that day when you least expect it. Oh, yes, there was a new MacBites. I can't tell you how agonising it was putting that show together. Can you, Mike? It was agonising, that. There was a reason. We changed how we did everything. Yeah, and we won't do that again. But we did manage to get a show out. Let me know in the chat if you've heard it. Now then what happened? Oh, yes, if you were listening, and I know Renee was listening, and Sarah was listening at one point. Who else was at the end? You were giggling over the serious sketch at the end. Let me know. Oh, Tony was there, yes. So while that was premiering, Mike had the glory of the semi-final of the Europa League to contend with.
First leg
of the semi-final. It could all go wrong yet. Oh, Kim enjoyed it as well. Excellent. Oh, Jonathan heard it, loved it. Excellent.
I remember as a kid, just deviating slightly, looking in the newspaper one day at the football results and saying to me, Dad, what does aggregate mean? What does leg mean? And he didn't really know because he wasn't a football fan.
Asking your father, if you're asking about contemporary jazz, fine, or something in The Guardian, but don't ask him about football, he hasn't got a clue. Anyway, it was the big day. This was important. Now, you look at the score and you think, oh, Mike must have had a fabulous night. No. United were 1-up in 9 minutes. So from Mike's corner, there was, yes! Not to mention the fact that his iPad was at least 20 seconds ahead of my iPad. So I was following up with, so they've scored then, and then I had to watch it. But then, oh no, an equaliser. Only 6 minutes later. Then, even worse, Roma went ahead.
Bad words were said.
Oh, there were bad words said. Trust me. Bad words were said. Was that goal afterwards? Did it then get to half-time at 2-1? I think it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
So at half-time, they were losing. He was not a happy bunny. But things were about to happen because I can exclusively reveal just how United ended up winning 6-2, which meant they got 5 goals in the second half. Mike deployed a new trick because it was book club. Remember the book? Oh, yeah. And last night was reading room. So I needed peace and quiet to read. You will have seen that in the behind the scenes tour last week. I volunteered to read, which meant Mike vacated the office, lest bad words that had been filtered the first half continue in the second half. That was when United banged in the rest of the goals.
Good words were said.
It looks like this new trick is the studio trick. It's like the toilet trick, but 5 times more effective. So safe to say, the studio trick will be deployed again. So Mike went into the studio and literally bang, 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 bang. And I texted him and I said, are you watching all these games in the studio from now on? The short answer was yes, he was. Which took us on to Friday. Now, Friday, what was happening today? Well, last Friday was pre-order day, if you remember, for the AirTags. I talked myself out of them. I thought, well, I could, but I'm not going anywhere, so it would be somewhat... Well, they're just not on, really, is it? Indulgent, somewhat indulgent. When I could be more indulgent with other things. You've got to do this, haven't you, on the right day? You've got to go in, you've got to have a look at it, and you've got to think, ouch. And then you've got to think, and then there's the Apple Care. To order or not to order? This was the question. So, do you think I was strong and said, no, I'll leave it? Or do you think I could have been tempted? What do you think? And the referee's parentage was questioned. No, Mike doesn't usually have a go at the referee, Peter, to be honest. What he does do is there are a lot of bad words said about the players and their parentage. No cones were moved. The cones have long gone. The cones went by last week. So was I strong or did I indulge myself? Oh, come on. You know me. I'm strong, aren't I? Yeah, I indulged myself. It's work, she said. Anyway, it'll be here when it'll be here, which is sometime, hopefully, in the rest of my lifetime. Do you know, I used to love it when it was you placed an order on Friday, it'd be with you next Friday. This one, be with you sometime before Christmas, but not necessarily 2021. But there you go. So yes, that was interesting. I had to get out of bed because I didn't get into bed. I thought the orders were 8 o'clock. So I stayed up till 8 o'clock. I thought, this isn't updating. So then I went to have a look. 1 o'clock, it said. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to grab some sleep. Then I was that thinking about it. Do I have this one? Do I have that one? I couldn't get to sleep. Then I got up at 1 o'clock and then I'm going through all these shenanigans and it was way more exciting than that. I should have actually put the one where it said, I went through all the configuration, did the whole thing, and then it came back and said, we've updated your basket with what's available. We've taken out what's not available. So the basket was empty, apart from the Apple Care. So they were prepared to sell me Apple Care on a device that they didn't have. It wasn't available. Anyway, eventually got there. That's why it'll be here sometime before Christmas. And then we had a Tesco delivery. You all guessed if you were with us in Marooned, because Mike was gone quite a while, which meant it was indeed the lovely Wendy. Which takes us up to where we are now, Two Show Friday. So you're up to date with it. Yes, there will be an unboxing party. The date I've got at the moment, this is good. It's a Friday. Oh, and we know that because of the COVID thing, After Hours is on a Friday till at least Christmas. So this is a good one to answer me in the chat. If it arrived at like 8:30 on Friday morning, do I have to leave it 12 hours until Marooned and unbox it with you guys? Or do I get to unbox it before? Let me know in the chat. Do you want to share the unboxing party? If it turns up like the phone did, which was one of the last big items we got, wasn't it? If not the biggest, apart from the iMac. That turned up like literally just as the driver was on his way home. And he stopped for petrol on the way. Don't get me going on that. We were walking out the door. So let me know in the chat. Right, okay, let's have a look at the first thing this week, which is the craft update. Craft is something that we've looked at before. We have looked at it, we did 3 weeks on it, I think, didn't we? We are using it for specific jobs. It's not replacing Notion, but it has other things. Other benefits in terms of having local data, being able to work offline and all of that. So that was why I added it to my repertoire of now I've got another app to nurture. But it was worth it. But up to now, Kim says I've got to wait so you can watch. Okay. It'll come late. The only time it came early, and when I say early, it was early, was iPad 1. I was there on Thursday. It was due Friday. Mike had booked a day off. It arrived on Thursday. That was early. Mine arrived at 9:30 on the Thursday. Alarmingly early. Oh, but Renee says I can just pre-record it, so we're going to have to take a poll on this about what should happen. Right, so I will show you these new features, but let's go through them first. So what they've added, and this is the one that, honestly, it should have been there since forever, but the things they're pushing on this update is the trash and the search. So with the trash, you might think, is trash a feature? Well, it is when it wasn't there to start with. So if you deleted something in Craft, it totally vanished. There was no getting it back. You could, of course, create your own folder and move the stuff there, but there wasn't actually an official trash. The search, I thought, was perfectly adequate to start with, but we'll look at the search after we've looked at the trash. So with the trash thing, we're talking about pages that you actually want to delete, but you know that safety net of there being a bin for the trash to sit in for a certain amount of time, that. So it's the bin we're talking about. And what they've done is they've created a trash folder for you. Whenever you delete a document, it automatically gets put into the trash folder, as you would expect. But even then, you can decide to delete the thing permanently from the bin. So, you know, like you might be using it at work and you've typed up your resignation and then you've deleted it and then you think, I don't want it in the trash either. That. So you can delete items individually from the trash, or you can choose to restore anything from the trash. Now, the next bit's quite important. If you don't modify a document in the trash for 30 days, then it's auto-deleted. But if you do modify the thing in 30 days, then the 30 days starts to run again. So something to think about. The second thing they're really pushing is the search aspect of it. Now, like I said, the search was pretty good to start with, although I'd have to caveat that with the fact that obviously I have nothing like the number of documents in Craft that I do in Notion. So because I've got way more in Notion, you could say that that maybe is why it's a bit slower. But we are talking about searching and finding documents where you get a drop down when you type something in and it lists all the documents that word is either in the title of or it's in the content of the document. That's what we're talking about. And they said they have 10 times increased the search performance, which is going to be interesting to try it, isn't it? The other thing that was brand new with 1.5 was the fact that you could access Craft in a browser. Now, if you've got an app, you might be thinking, well, why would I want it in a browser? But actually, there are benefits to having it in a browser, because particularly in my circumstance where we've got Notion and we've got Craft, Notion's links to the documents are just copy the URL. And then I can put that anywhere. I could put that in an email, I could put it in drafts, I could put it anywhere. And all I need to do is click it and it will take me out to that page in a browser. Craft didn't have that. So for me to be able to view a page or take a link for a page and put that inside Notion or anywhere else, it was going to open up an uneditable copy. It will show it you in a browser, but you would have to share it publicly to get the link, and then even when you get to the page you couldn't edit it. So adding the ability to view your documents, all your Craft documents in a browser, was huge from that perspective. And what they've been doing is refining it, because while it worked really well in Safari and Chrome, there was a couple of issues with it in Firefox. So they're making it work better in the browsers and getting it faster in the browsers. Another thing was folders. And while you could create folders, folders look like folders. But now folders can have icons, which is good and bad, I must admit. I did the total customization thing when I used Ulysses, which is a writing app. Ulysses has the concept of a library on the left-hand side. And in that library, you could have smart folders, individual documents. I went through it. Oh, it looked pretty. I colour-coded them. I did all kinds of stuff with it. Trust me, I did. And was that a good idea, Elaine? No, it wasn't. Because then I couldn't work out what was what. I couldn't work out which one was actually a folder and which one was a smart folder and which one was documents. So while they've given you the ability to do this, it's one of those things of like, be careful. Think it through first. And what I did was I actually used the folders. I put the para system in and used folders, and that way I know that they're folders. But if you want everything all prettified, then you can. The other thing that they've added, again, it seems obvious, but you can now move documents to folders and other folders with the 3-dot menu, which you couldn't do before. So I remember looking at it and thinking, I've got this item here on page 1, and I need to move it to page 2. I knew exactly where I needed to put it. And it was like, I'm going to have to cut it and then paste it, because there was no move option. So it was actually quite important that they did add the move option. So there is a move option now where you can move documents and folders to other folders. Another thing they've done, I will show you all these, just going over them now. You have text colours. They've added gradients to text colours. Let me know in the chat. Are you ever going to make your text a gradient? And I'm going to give Mike another thing in relation to that. You know when OneNote added the glitter pen for the 7-year-old girls with a unicorn fixation? Did you ever use it?
Can't say I did.
Oh, that's good, because basically I'm asking you, are you a 7-year-old girl with a unicorn fixation? No, he's not. But you might want gradient text.
I'm not a 7-year-old girl, but I might have a unicorn fixation. Well, based on the infographics that I built last week, yes.
Oh, excitement. Right.
No, I've already covered those last week.
Oh, last week's, okay. Right, and the other thing that they've added is more Markdown support. So what they've done is, in Markdown, if you put -sign, 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 you get a line. And that happens in virtually, I would say 99.9% of Markdown apps understand that. Well, what Craft have done is added a whole range of other shortcuts to give you different types of lines. So let's go and have a look at it all. I do have Craft over here. Now I can move the chat because I think it's stuck. Oh, no, it's not stuck. Oh, no, well, a bit. Right, okay, let's get rid of all these windows that I don't need so I can find Craft and get myself a new window. And we should probably at that point go into there, shouldn't we? Where we have the MacBite stuff. So here's my window. Right, these are what we've got in there. We've also got our how to use Craft things, obviously. So I will start off with the trash folder support. So first of all, I should probably make a new document in case there is an issue. So document to test the trash. Right, so you have your document. You also have available over here, in here, the ability, not in there, in there. And this one was added last time, if you remember. The ability to move it was in here. You could delete it in here. But now instead of it saying delete, so if you haven't upgraded, you will see in there that it says delete. It's red and there's a trash can, but it says delete, and that is exactly what it will do. And it will warn you because there's no getting it back. They've switched out that entire thing to be moved to trash. So now it will actually move that to the trash. Still want you to confirm it. Okay. But now up here you have the trash, and it even says these are available for 30 days, and then they will be permanently deleted. Now, this one here says new because it was a new document and then I actually deleted it. Obviously, it has moved from in here where it was. But in here, you get the option to actually delete the thing entirely, or you can restore it. Restoring it, then there's nothing else left in the trash. Obviously, if you had 10 other things in the trash, they would still be there. And when you go back to that, it's moved it, hasn't it? It's put it in there. So there it is. It's as simple as that. Now, what I'll do with this one, I will again move it to the trash. Yes, I would like it if we could turn that off. But in the trash, where it actually is, you now have the option to actually delete it. One question came to my mind, which is there a global let's delete everything from the trash? Let's have a look. We could empty the trash. Would that do it? Yes, that's the lot. So why that's much better than Notion is Notion does have a concept of trash. It has no notion, notice what I did there, about emptying the trash. So other than one at a time. So this is now better than Notion in that regard. And I'm hoping that Notion will see this and realise that that's what we actually all want. The ability to put something in the trash. So I've deleted it, but if I need it later, I can restore it. If I want to delete it permanently, I can do that. And if I want to completely empty the trash, because, you know, OCD. Kim's like that, aren't you, Kim? We just want to empty the trash. I'm the same. I actually started with Notion, emptying the trash one at a time. And then I thought, you know what, life's too short. I left it alone. But it does annoy me that I can't just nuke the trash, which I can now in here. So I think that's a really good thing that they've done. Right, let's put in there a new folder. Oh, if only I could spell folder. Right, and in here, you've got all of these icons that you can use for it, including all the emojis. One thing that works brilliantly for me with emojis, I either tend to stick to these at the top. So these here, all of this lot, are dedicated craft icons. And the beauty of these is they merge in beautifully. If you look at this and think, yeah, but the one I want isn't there. So one that's missing, as far as I'm concerned, is a microphone. That would be nice. There's a carrot, but I don't think I'm going to get away with that carrot looking totally like a microphone. You could use the video one. So there's two video icons and there's a pair of headphones up there, but not a microphone. My problem is if I then go down here and think, well, there's a microphone in there because I can actually search for them. And there's two microphones. There's that one, and there should be another one. There's the other one. So those two are microphones. But then the colours look, you know, most of them are plain, and then you've got this icon that, while it's nice in itself in isolation, looks pug ugly in relation to everything else that you've got. But what I do like to use is the dots. there is a range of dots that I can use. So if I make that there, I'll create a para system in here, but hopefully it won't put them in the trash. Right, so my first para one would be, I tend to have 0, which is the inbox, which we might not totally be allowed to do. But what I do is I actually do put an inbox for that one. So if I'm creating a para system, it would look like this. Right, so it puts it over there. Now, the thing with Craft is, there's already an inbox up here. But this is my inbox. So there's the real inbox, which is where stuff goes when I don't particularly put it in a home. And then there's my inbox. So that's how I do it. And then I create the rest of the para system. So my first one is projects. Now, for projects, might use one of these dots. So I'm working down to the fact that they're archived and dealt with. So let's say I would use the red one for that. So let's put the red one first and create that. I could do without being under there and then work down. So my second one is areas. That is probably going to be orange. So I should have, if I type the colour, I get the dot. And these then kind of match. So unlike the other ones where if I'm just choosing one from the emojis, they don't particularly match, these ones would. So 3 is resources. If you don't know about the para system, we have gone over it a few times. Can you just find the link for that, Mike? We did it in relation to GTD and Pararing, did we? Or did we do it separate?
After hours.
It was in an after hours. Can tell you that much. Right, and let's do the yellow one. And obviously you can make these other shapes if you want, but I happen to know that all of these line up nicely for me in that they're all dots, they're all the same size, they've all got a nice little gradient on them. And the last one that you would have is your archive. So anything that you are not currently working on and is not useful for anything else goes in there. And that one would be dealt with. So it's my archive, it's green, it's all dealt with. And create that and then put that down there. So I like the emojis when it's a set like that. And then I don't think it looks silly that these are plain. But the thing to think about is these are folders. I've just created folders here. Do you want to know that they're folders in terms of there is a folder icon, or are you quite happy to have something else? Personally speaking, I think if there's something else is in a series like this, it makes sense to go for that. And I have everything parrot. My bookmarks are parrot, my data is parrot, my Spotify is parrot, everything is parrot. And it works fabulously. Didn't have my bookmarks parrot and they were a living nightmare, but then I sorted that out. So you can now use folder icons. Folder icons are now available. What is Para? Okay, Para is a system by which you organise all of your data. So all your files, everything. It uses 4 folders: projects, areas, resources, and archive. So in your project folder, you put things that you are currently working on that you have data for. So if I was going to build that up in here, I would probably in there add a new folder. No, I don't want a new window, do I? Come on, let's add another one in here. That. So I'm going to add a folder for book club. So that's something that I'm currently working on. And hopefully there's a pretty book icon. There's a wallet and a notebook. Oh, perfect. Right, so I'll use that one. And I now have a folder which is a project that I'm working on right now. So that would then go inside projects. Another thing that I might be working on right now is maybe a MacBites After Hours, a specific episode of MacBites After Hours. So in there, I'm going to have to choose something, aren't I? Let's go for the headphone. The Mind You After Hours is video, so let's go for the video. Right.
We didn't do it as part of GTD, did we?
We definitely did it, because after we'd done it, Kim implemented it.
Well, I've got GTD overview.
No, it might have been on its own, or it could have been with it. I'm not sure. Maybe Kim can remember. Right, so with my After Hours, I'm going to need with that one, of course. So let's edit that. I'm going to need to make sure what show it is. So let's say it's next week's show. That's a project that I'm working on right now. So that goes in projects. Other things like MacBites, that is slightly different. While I might have a MacBites project, so let's giddy Jonathan. Let's keep Jonathan awake. Oh, how about that, Jonathan? There's excitement for you. And that's a MacBite, so I'm going to put that like that. Right, if that's a current project in terms of I'm actually working on it right now, then it would go and it would be a project. But there's a lot more to MacBites than just I'm working on this show or that show or another show. MacBites is actually an entire area of focus that we have. So I would have a generic MacBites folder, and that would be inside areas. So if I'm not actively working on that, we're going to break Jonathan's heart now. If we're not actively working on it, then it would go in there. Jonathan's still awake. So stuff we're not actively working on, but is something that will be coming up. Kim doesn't remember, but she did deploy it right away. So whenever it was, it's definitely in there, Mike.
I think it could have been 91.
Ah, he's finding it. Have a look at 91. Right, so all the stuff for that would go in there. So what stories do we have for that at the moment? Oh, we actually do have one. So I'm going to put one in. Why have we done this? Why have we got this? And if you're wondering why you've got tags, these are tags. So if I mention Kim in regard to something, I can just click on that page, and same with Tony. You've made some suggestions. But somewhere I should have a new one. Come on. Right. Oh, it's giving me tabs up here. I don't want tabs up there. Right, what I want is in here. I want to put an item in there. So let's Command and edit, and I've got a new page. So in this, there would be ordering the iPad Pro. And just to remind myself, in case I forget, I put enough context in so I can get back to that moment. So I would put in a Typinator shortcut, which is the section key and D, and that would give me the date. Right, and I would say it wasn't 8 a.m. No, it was 1 p.m. British summertime. And then I would put basket farce, and that's going to be enough to remind me. Oh, and delivery date. And I would come back and sort that out. So that is a piece that's going to be inside the MacBites 138 show. What else should we cover on 138, Jonathan? Yes, Carol, if you've got multiple websites that you're working on right now, that each one would be an area. If you have global resources for those websites, so let's say in here, we will add a folder for Carol's website. All right, but we'll put in one website at the moment. Right, if that's something that you're actively working on, have we got a nice globe logo? Oh, we do. Cool. Right. Then that would go, if you're actively working on it, it would be a project. But it's also, in this case, you know, like if you're implementing a new shop on the website, then that would be a project. But generally speaking, that's going to be an area that everything else is inside of. Now, if you also have website building resources, so these could be applications, instructions for stuff, whatever. Anything that you have that supports you, but not just for website number 1. It could be for website number, any website that you go anywhere near. A reference guide to HTML or CSS. Right, what I would do with that is put that in resources, because you're always going to want that to be available. So I would put that in resources. Now, if you've done your project, so up here, let's put one in that we've actually done. So we did MacBites 0137. By some miracle, it got out of the door. So how was I doing that? Oh, each show was that. So there we go. So that's 137. It would start life as a project. And once it's done, it would move from the projects into the archive. Because I've done with it, dealt with it, don't need to look at it again, so it goes in the archive. When I've done 138, that would go in the archive. And the beauty of that system is, as you fold these up, you can literally focus on just the stuff that you're actually doing. So Stephen says it's a flexible system, so you can choose what makes sense to you. Exactly. A lot of people, when I've seen this, it's part of the Building a Second Brain course with Thiago Forte, which is incredibly expensive. I think the pro level is £3,000 and the executive level is £6,000. I think actually it closed last night for sign-ups for May. A lot of people struggle with para. They get really hung up on where something goes. And the concern is, of course, well, will I find it in the future? That's the big concern. So I've actually got 2 folders and the tags down here, and they're not part of my para system. And if I was to para the whole thing, where would these go? Where would the tags go? The tags is a group, and in it there's pages of people's names or application names or anything like that. That is a resource. Okay. Oh, what's the wow bit? What's the wow bit, Carol? Do you like that? It's life-changing when you get it. But even people on the course who've read all the books and watched all the videos, they get absolutely overwhelmed with, well, should this be an area or should it be a resource? And it's like, chill. Take a chill pill. You'll find it. Put it where it makes most sense. So a how to use craft could go in one of 2 places. In fact, it could go in one of 4. Let's say at the moment I'm trying to organise myself and I want to do a demo with this system. And I've got these 3 things at the bottom that are making my system not work. And I need to deal with them. Tony's got a cunning plan. Thank you for explaining that, Elaine. It's so simple, stupid. It's brilliant. It is amazing. It's so powerful. So it doesn't matter. And they can move. So at the moment, let's say I'm doing a demo. Oh, I'm doing a demo. Right, so I put my MacBite stuff in the inbox, and I put my how to craft in the inbox, and I put my tags in the inbox. Right, now I'm sorted. That's a clean desk. I don't have to think about them, look at them or whatever. But ultimately, I'm going to come into my inbox, and I'm going to be, right, what did I shove in here and why did I shove them in here? Right, let's take it from the top. The tags. The tags are a supporting thing. I'm trying tags in craft. I'm not as sold on them as I am in Rome. In Rome, they are invaluable. In here, they work, but it's not the kind of material that I put in here. But they're certainly not a project. They're not something I'm going to work on and then be finished with. So are they an area? No, not in their own right, they're not. They're a supportive thing to support the system. So in that case, put the tags in resources. It's a resource to help you work. Right, how to use craft. Oh, well, that could be anything, couldn't it? If I'm new to this whole thing, it could be a project. I could put that in the projects folder with a, I need to finish this, in which case it would go from there into the projects. And then when I'm thinking I need to work on craft, I need to understand some things that I don't understand. Then I go to my projects and I think, oh, yes, I need to finish that how to use craft thing. So there was the getting started page, and there was more here than there looked to be, because this is nested. It went on and on. So it's really a little mini course. You might think of it as just a page, but it's actually a mini course. And I had the other one, which was, so let's get back up there, the Welcome to Craft one, which again, how craft is different with nested documents. And then, you're navigating up and down. It's a little course. Right, let's say now I've done that and I've finished all of that. So what am I going to do now? Is it still a project? Well, you could say, yeah, it's a project. But it's a project that I've finished with. Does it belong in an area? Would I have an area, an ongoing, let's learn craft? Probably not. It's not an ongoing thing. It's something that I've done. But I'm not 100% with it at the moment. I'm very new to craft. So maybe I want to think about that and think, well, I might want that as a resource. It's a resource at the moment. And I might want to add stuff to it, extra examples, updates, stuff like that. It's still very much alive and I need access to it. In which case, it's a resource. It's my craft learning centre. It's a resource. Right, my after hours, we're in the inbox. Back in the inbox. Right, back in the inbox, we've got MacBites. Now, I actually created another one, didn't I? But there's nothing actually in there, so let's delete that. She'll give away exactly where it belongs, won't it? But in my inbox up here, I'm looking at this MacBites thing, and there's lots of stuff in there. That is everything that I'm working on in MacBites. Is it a project? No, it's not a specific project. It's just like something comes in. We've got a new logo, then that would go in there. We're redesigning the website. I've got to think about that. These are mini projects. In the end, they will move to the projects and I'll work on them, just like After Hours 127. But if in that one there, so in here, let's say we add another one. So I'll add another one, which is After Hours 128. Okay, I'll give that the same logo so I know that if I see that logo, it's a MacBites. right? And I've got that at the top, not in any folder. But you'd think, but that's a project. It is, but I'm not going to work on it right now because I've not done 127 yet. So my MacBites is where these would go because they're continuing areas of focus and have been for 15 years. So that would go in my areas. And then this 128, I don't want to look at that because I can't do anything about it until I've done 127. So I just take that and I put that inside MacBites. And now I've got a nested folder in there. So I've got stuff at the root level, and I've also got 128 for when I'm working on 128. It's simple when you get it, and it works. Trust me. So at the top level, I still end up with just the 5 folders. So everything is so neat and tidy. And if I'm working on it, it's a project. If it's an area of focus that, okay, I'm going to go and create, and I did this the other day, I'm going to go and create another 50 posters for the next 50 shows for after hours, then that becomes a little project. But until then, it's in the areas. And then once something is dealt with, like instructions for doing something, that could be then a resource. A resource is anything that you use, any reference material that you use to help you complete the projects or work on the areas. And the one that throws everybody is the archive. And you will find very, very, very few people will ever show you their archive because it's just a dumping ground. So if we were to add up here at the moment, let's say last week's show, so after hours 125 last week, that would be dealt with at some point and signed off. It might take till this week to do, but let's say that is done and dealt with. There may be a temptation to take it and put it in the MacBites folder. But you'll make your life a whole lot easier if you just say, that's done, it's finished, it's complete. I'm going to put it in the archive, where you don't care what the archive actually looks like. Because if you know you've done it and it's finished and you need to go back and look at it, it's in the archive. You're not creating a complex folder structure in the archive. It's in the archive. It's dealt with. So MacBites episode 1 in the archive. MacBites episode 50 in the archive. It'll just be there somewhere. Don't spend the time organising it. Rely on the search to find it. Or you can spend as long as you like creating complex archive folder structures, which I don't do. I just throw it in the archive when it's dealt with. And then whenever I come to something, it's as simple as that at the top level. So you're looking at that there and you've got the pretty colours on it and stuff. If you were to look at my Ulysses, it's exactly the same. It's not got pretty colours on it, but if you look here, inbox, project, areas, resources, archive, that's it. The only exception to that is an external folder, which is a dirty hack because Ulysses is single player. You can't share your Ulysses. It synchronises via iCloud when it feels like it. No, actually, this one's really good with iCloud. So it's not intended to be multiplayer in any way, shape or form. But you can make it that way if you create a folder in Dropbox that's shared and then drag and drop something into it. So what we have under the Ulysses thing here is an archive, proofreading, guides and lead magnets. So in the proofreading, if I wanted Mike to proofread this, I would merely grab it and sling it into proofreading, and that's it. It would appear then on his system in the external folders at the bottom. But that's an exception to the rule. You'll notice it doesn't move it, it just creates a copy of it. This is where all the work happens. So in my projects, I've got my Ulysses reorganisation is the only project I'm working on in Ulysses at the moment. And that's because I've literally only just parodied it. But in my areas, I've got Brooklyn's, I've got content creation, I've got MacBites, and I've got the church website stuff that I do. Within MacBites, because you would understand that, is stuff that's work in progress that needs to be put somewhere. All the stuff that goes on the blog. The lives, which again are blog posts. So these are actually published. There's the spring-loaded one. That's what it looks like. I've got the show notes for the shows. So we are up to 137. That is what they look like. And they are literally published from there. All I need to do with that is copy and paste it from Scrivener, click that and upload it. It doesn't look anything like that, obviously, and you can see it's already been uploaded. But if I wanted to make some changes and upload it, I can do that from there. These are the posts for after hours. And they go all the way back to 1. So everything, I know exactly where everything is. And if something is a template, so within here, if we look at like working no, we don't need that. Right, or that one. But in the lives, there is a template. We can see it's a template because it says it's a template. In the show notes, we have a template. In the after hours, guess what? We have a template. Should be at the top. Not seeing it at the moment. Maybe it's at the bottom. There it is. It's at the bottom in there. Don't know why. And then we've got Marooned, and that has a template as well. So at the bottom here, I have a Smart folder. Smart folder will look at the MacBites folder and all of the contents, and it will show me the templates. Just the templates. So you will note that every one of these has template on it. And Craft works in exactly the same way. So they're in my areas because they're huge things that I do. Like the church stuff. There was all the copy for the Christmas concert 2019, 2018. The mails are an ongoing thing. All of these are part of everything that I do for the church. But it's an area of focus. You'll notice I don't have anything in resources and nothing in archive. One, because I've only just created that structure in here. But two, I don't tend to move stuff. It makes sense in here to leave them together. But the same system works. I just leave it on the inbox, and then when I want to copy and paste something like that in, I can do that. And the system goes across my entire file folders, Dropbox, you name it. Dropbox, OneDrive, Box, pCloud, they're all the same. With inbox, projects, areas, resources, archive. And that's it. And it is a simple system, but it does totally work, trust me. Right, let's have a look. We got a question. Where would I place a workflow folder in areas? Are we talking something that you follow every time you do a specific job? So you refer back to it, maybe like a template of some description? If it is, and it was in Craft, I would put it in the resources and then duplicate it and move it to the projects to work with it. So if that's what you mean, that's what I would do with it. Right, then each customer folder that moves through the workflow. Right, if it's a customer folder, then it's an active project. It depends whether you consider that the client moves through the workflow that you've got, or the workflow is the most important thing and you move the clients through it. So you could do that either way. I would do it the way that made most sense to you. So for instance, I could have a process for producing MacBites, and I could look at that as there's the process and there's this episode of MacBites. But which is which? You know, is the MacBites the most important and then there's 4 stages? Or is the 4 stages the most important and there are multiple shows going through it? Right, totally unconnected question. When you do Affinity Designer again, would you be able to explain how to draw woven fabric? Oh, that's an interesting one. Can you ping me an image that you want to try and replicate? And then, yes, I will. Designer. Right, designer. Yes. Just ping me an image of the kind of thing that you're looking to do and I will. Right, so we got sidetracked there, didn't we? Moving stuff. So this is actually quite important with this if you think about it. So if we've got this here, we have the move to option. We also should have that available from there. So move to, where's the move to? You're not there, are you? I'm not seeing a move to, and you promised it was on those dots. But luckily it's available on here. So if I say move to, I get this folder, this dialog box. I can see all of my folders in there where everything is. So if I'd finished with this and I wanted to archive it, I'd just quickly click on archive and do that.
Carol wants to know how she can ping you.
Elaine G at rosewaygiles.co.uk. Michael put that in for you. Do you know, Kim, that is so insightful. Once you work in Para, it becomes clear where each folder or item belongs. That's so true. It does. It does. Initially, what happens at the beginning when you're just told this system, it's like, oh, wow, I'm going to do this. And what you think you need to do is sit down and organise the whole lot, and you're going to get overwhelmed, just like with anything else. If you've already got 3,000 files and folders and stuff, leave them be. And just create a blank folder set and then start to work with new material. And like Kim says, it's just immediately apparent when you start working with it. It's where it makes most sense to you. I can tell you where I would put it, but if that made no sense to you, that would be no good at all. If we look at this book club thing here, this is actually, if we're going to get technical, that's actually book club 4. The way Bo's going, I better put an extra 0 on that. But let's say I had another book club and that one's finished. So book club 003, and we'll put a pretty little book on it, right? So where do I put that? It's not book club, it's book club. Keyboard. Right. A couple of issues. Well, while it was live, it was a project. Definitely, it was a project. What is it now? And that depends what you're going to do with it. So I could give you 3 places that could go. It shouldn't be in projects because it's no longer a live project. Does it belong in an area of book club? It could do, but probably not. Book club is an ongoing thing, but each one is self-contained. So no, I don't have an area for book club. I could do. If I was leading the next book club, then I might well have an area for book club. But if it's something that has a start date, a finish date, and it's done, it could be, well, if I say a start date, an end date, and it's done, you immediately think, well, it's in the archive then. And there'd be nothing wrong with that. But if I want to refer back to it, if there was nuggets of wisdom in there that I want to refer back to, for this book club, it would make more sense to make it a resource. So I've only got, it's in folder 1, and I've only got 3 others. And I can give you an argument that it could be in any one of them. It just depends how you look at it. I wouldn't put book club 3 in as an area unless within the areas there was an area of book club. And then I would put it inside there. So like at the level of MacBites. But with that one, it could be a resource. And then you have to think about, do I want to put book club 3 in as a resource, or do I want to create a folder for book club resources and then put 3 in as one? Or I could just say, do you know what, you've done that, you want to book club 4, so put it in the archive and you're done. It depends on what way makes most sense to you. But the system is so flexible and it's so simple. That's what keeps you with it. It's so simple. And as you saw, if you did find that, you know, you've been working all week and somehow you've added some extra stuff in. So I know we were deep diving. So deep dive data merge in Affinity Publisher coming to YouTube near you on Sunday. Right, so I want to add that. Right, and where did that just go? Oh, tell me I didn't click away. I did. Oh, let's just put data merge. Data merge in Affinity Publisher. Right, give it the right icon, and this time actually click the create button. Right, I could have that kicking around. I'm also going to have at some point, aren't I, Mad May session 2. Like that. And create that, and then no, I'll add another one. I'll just add the 3. So whatever we're doing in Mad May session 3, same principle. Right, so I've been working all week and that has happened. Where do these live? Well, all of them are projects, but do they live in the project yet? Well, that one would, because it's active. Are these 2 active or not? Well, that depends. Let's say they're not. Then my first thing to tidy up would be to dump them in the inbox. My second thing would be to look at what I've got, and I'm a folder missing. And that folder is an ongoing thing, which is content creation. So it's an overarching thing that, what would I have for that? We got like a star or something pretty. There we go. Creating content. Right. That would be an area, and these would be part of that. So wherever they are, it makes sense to me. But your mileage may vary. You may want to put them somewhere else. Right. Hopefully we're all up to date with that. Okay. So that was moving the things with the dots, which I don't know about you, but you might as well just drag and drop them. But you can move them with the dots if you really, really want to move them. Although it says they're on the dots, I don't see it on the dots. They're lying. You can export, import, and all the rest of it, but not on the dots. Maybe you have to actually go into it. Then it's on the dots. Let's have a look. Not seeing it on the dots. I can make a new folder. Can rename it. No, it's not on the dots. So Tony's got waiting room, next action in progress as areas. Yep, if that makes sense to you, that's absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. What you'd have to think about that is you're going to have active things that you've got going on that aren't then in the projects. But if it makes sense to you to have them in the areas, then have them in the areas. It's a very flexible framework, is Para. Should we do another session on Para? Should we do the whole thing from soup to nuts? There you go. That was a very brief overview. Oh, I'm starting that next week, so that's really good timing. Right, what didn't we have? Let's put it into Carol's website. Let's absolutely put it into Carol's website. Right, pen. No, it's ink, isn't it? Ink colours. Rainbow ink colours. Now, when I'm typing in here, same with Notion, same with virtually everything that works this way. Use the slash menu and type the colour you want, like red, you're done. That is by far the fastest way to do that. Luckily in here, if you're a mouse person, you have all of these options available with a mouse click as well. So if you're more a mouse click person, you can do that. I am used to putting the slash and a colour and finding it from there. Right, so let's have another one. What should we make this one? How about orange? Orange ink, slash, and as soon as you get there, it makes it orange. Right. What they're actually telling you is, what I took from this, so let's grab hold of that, is the colour from here, they said. But I'm wondering if it's available down there, and I'm not seeing it full stop. I'm not seeing it. Why am I not seeing it? Because this is highlighting, unless it's this. To me, they're highlighting. Do you want it to be highlighted like that? Oh, ye gods, why? If anybody would use that, let me know. These are not available from here. And I'm wondering, what are they called? Let's grab hold of it again. It's a highlight, isn't it? We don't have a name. So I'm wondering if we put, let's put in some black text and then do that and then put highlight. Not getting a highlight option either. If I put yellow, because there was a yellow highlight, would I get the highlight? No. Good grief, there's a lot in there. No. So unfortunately, it is you have to select it and colour it in. But who would use that? So we'll there's only a few as well. And I don't particularly like... No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. But your mileage may vary. You might like that. I don't know. Right, Carol says, so if you have a support ticket in progress, but you can't deal with it because it's with the programmers, which folder would you put it in? You can't do anything with it, but it's still a project. So if it's alive, I would put it in projects. If you are concerned that you've got too many active projects, one option is to rein yourself in. But I agree with you, with things like support tickets, you're pretty much sat there waiting. You could then create an area. If you don't want it in projects, create an area, and that would be an ongoing area of system admin. And I put my support tickets in there. So I have a system admin folder. Once I'm dealt with those things, they would then become a resource. So if I've opened a ticket and they fixed something or they've given me some code, so case in point, in Typinator, I want to use Alfred. I want to be able to type in Alfred and have Typinator expand the text expansions. And it broke in the last version. So I emailed the guy and I said, this is broken. And he wrote back and said, no, that's by design. And I'm like, I don't like it. I need to, I know, no, bring it back. I said, could you possibly add an option? Whether he will add an option in the next version, I don't know. But what he did do was send me back a terminal command. And this terminal command, everybody who's bought Typinator, I say, oh, you're going to need this terminal command. And I send them the terminal command. So that's something that was a support ticket, started life as a support ticket, but is now in the resources. I wouldn't put that in the archive because archive means I don't need it. You know, I'd have to go excavating to go into the archive. But my resources would be my system admin resources. I would filter down to that and then I would go look for Typinator and I would be guaranteed to find it. So I remember sending it to Jonathan, and I think I sent it to Kim as well. And it's like, oh, I need that code. Where is that code? And that is what I would do with it. So either leave it in your projects as like a tickler thing that every time you look at your project, you think, do you know, they've not replied to me. It's been 3 weeks. I'll ping them again. Or put it in your system admin and then wait for them to get back to you. Depends if you want it off your plate or not. Inner Magpie might choose that sparingly. There you go. And Kim, I love all the para questions. They were similar to the ones I had so many months ago. And now I know where I would place them in para. Yay, Kim's got it. Kim has drunk the Kool-Aid. Kim is there. Okay, right, last thing to look at, because other things are fixes. But I did mention to you that if you go here and mark down, put in 3 minus signs, you get a line. But they have actually added in some extra ones, and this is a bit of a fiasco because they're so tiny. But we have minus signs. We also have minus ... It's supposed to do something. Hang on. I'm not seeing that. Is that a ... or is it a comma? It's that tiny I can't see it, but it's definitely a minus. Not seeing how that do that either. Is it a minus and one of them? I'd love to be able to say yes. Let's have a look. I've got the list here. This is a list of what we're looking at. What does that look like to you? Oh, I see. It's 2. That's right. I need it bigger. Minus ... minus... No, even that isn't working. You're lying to me. It's supposed to do something. It's supposed to expand. Does that look like that to you? Minus. Or is there a space in it? This is pretty much guesswork, isn't it? They're not being very clear with that. I must admit I thought that when I looked at them. Right, we've got an equals 1, 2. And we get a thicker line. So that's equals minus minus. And then we've got what looks like dot minus minus for a dotted line. Right, that only leaves us 1 to get working out, which is ... minus. It's like Morse code, this. Right, so default one looks like that top one there. If you want a thicker line, it is equals minus minus. Then you've got this one, which is dot line, and this one, which is ... line. It's like Morse code. But just in case you wanted them, there they are. You could, with that one, if you can't remember those shortcuts, I would remember this one easily. But the others, I'd probably be clicking around. But technically, if we go in there and put line, there they are. Or at least there's the strong, regular, light, and extra light, but that's not the dots and dashes, is it? So if we put dot, we have separator light. I wonder if that's what we're going to get with it. They are calling them light. So yes, you should be able to do that with slash and line and then choose the one you want. So that's the strong one. That's the normal one that you would be getting. Line light is a ... and finally, with a bit of luck, that's a separator. So they're all available from the slash menu, or you can remember the hieroglyphics. I think I'll be going with the menu on at least 2 of those. If I use them all the time, so if I did want separators all the time, I would probably commit it to memory. But until then, I probably wouldn't bother. So that's what they've updated in Craft, and a little sneaky peeky overview of Para. If you would like Para, let me know. Let me know. I from memory, I thought it was a whole section we did. But maybe we didn't. I'll have to go back and have a look at it because poor Mike's lost himself. Bless him. Okay.
Too many things come up when you search for para.
Well, that's
parallels.
Oh yes, parallels. Yeah, all the time. Right. Yes, a little brief thing, little brief aside, which is Camtasia 2021 is out. Camtasia is from TechSmith, and it comes out every year. There is a reason for this. It's important because it's what drives everything I do. Used to use ScreenFlow, now use Camtasia. But the pricing is the thing. I'll do a full deep dive on what the new things are next week. Being honest, I look at it and I think, oh, they've just tweaked it again. But I think there's maybe 1 or 2 features that will make a difference to how you work with it. So it came out on Tuesday. It comes out the end of April every year. And the reason is there's a maintenance contract on it. I know that sounds like a subscription, doesn't it? But bear with me. So it's predictable when it will come out. The next version of Snagit will come out in October. That will be Snagit 2022. They are predictable. They're on a 6-month separation cycle. So it's 12-month cycle, but 6 months ahead or behind, depending on how you look at it, of Snagit. Right. This is what records the screen and lets you edit it and add lower thirds, whatever you need to do with it. If you were in our Slack chat, Way back when Jonathan did a fabulous video for his grandparents, he actually edited not screen recorded video, but standard video, and did it in Camtasia. And what they're focusing on with this release is the ability to do more transitions and more like talking head edits rather than just screen recording. But it does two things, Camtasia. It records the screen and it gives you an editing environment to edit that into a video. Right, the reason... Oh, Carol says only just bought 2020. Well, Carol, did you buy the maintenance? Right, you now know it comes out every year, so you can predict when that will come out if you're in the mind to pay. New users will pay, and these prices are silly, I do apologise, not my idea, it was theirs, 216.29 pence. It's ridiculous. I think it must translate from something in dollars that's normal. If you're upgrading, then it's £121.12 pence. But there is a way to upgrade for less than half of that, for about a third of that actually. So when I say new users, what we're talking about is the version from Camtasia. So you're buying it from TechSmith. And that gives you a license to install it on 2 machines. But one of them could be Windows. And that's why it's so expensive, because the Windows version of Camtasia is more expensive than the standalone Mac version that you can't buy direct from them. So it's a bit of a minefield when you're buying it. If you are totally Mac only, there may be an argument to buy it via the App Store. But hold on to that thought, because you need to then consider the maintenance. Right. Let's see if we can get Carol a better deal on this. So that's the price for a new user for the version that is direct from TechSmith that runs on both platforms. If you don't take their maintenance contract and you want the newer version, then that will cost you £121.12 to upgrade, which is where Carol could be at. But Carol, you say you've only just bought it. When did you buy it? Because if it was in the last couple of weeks, maybe a month, it's probably worth pinging them and asking them, and did you buy it direct? And asking them for a free upgrade. Now, I'm not sure what they do. Can you just check the free upgrades? Is there a date on it? Have they actually clocked that or not? It could go either way, that, because of what I'm saying next. Now, at some point, I had the version that was direct from them. I did not pay that for it, I can assure you. But neither did young Jonathan, because sometimes...
Yes, if you got maintenance.
Yeah, but what if you've not? Just do a check for me. Young Jonathan got that on like a half-price deal. I think a couple of others bought it when it was half price. At that point, you need to consider, with the version that's direct from TechSmith, do you want to take the maintenance agreement? Now, the maintenance agreement is... you pay it annual, and you pay it on top of the first purchase that you make. But it means while the maintenance is active, you get the upgrade for free. So you pay £43.26 at the point of purchase, or subsequently you can take the maintenance out whenever you feel. You take the maintenance out, and that will give you a free update. So what I did... when I got it the first time, which was like April, I didn't take the maintenance out until June. And I think there was an offer on the maintenance in June. But I took the maintenance, and that means the day it was released, I got an email and it said, here's your free upgrade. And there was a serial number in it for the next year. Because I got it in June, I actually ended up getting 2 updates, if you're with me, the first time. So personally, I would go for the maintenance, but I'm only paying that. I think it's worth that, just in case I need it on Windows. And it gives me 2 licenses on the Mac anyway. So that's your first option. You can get it direct from them, and then you have an option. If you don't intend to upgrade the next time, then maybe you don't want the maintenance. But if you want to upgrade every time, you're only going to pay £43 to do it. So that's why the maintenance was worth it for me. Can't remember if Jonathan took the maintenance out or not, and he could well have nodded off by now. But if you are awake, Jonathan, let us know. Did you take the maintenance out in the end? There is, however, a totally separate way to buy it. And this is, forget everything I've just said, this is a completely different way to buy it. If you go to the Mac App Store You can buy it for $99.99. That's not an upgrade, and yet it's cheaper than the upgrade. Let's go back to those prices that we had. The upgrade is going to cost you $121, so without the maintenance. So how come it's so cheap on the Mac App Store? We're talking a new user can get it for that price. Right, the rationale is it's Mac only. So you get no option to run this on Windows whatsoever. You are only buying the Mac version. One of the benefits of it, though, it's via the Mac App Store. You got 5 Macs, install it on all 5 Macs for $99.99. There is no concept of maintenance. You can't buy the one from the Mac App Store and then go and buy maintenance. The Mac App Store purchase is what it is. It's via the Mac App Store. You pay that. You can carry on using it until it stops working on as many Macs as you want for $99.99. I'll admit here, this is one of the apps I buy twice. I will pay that because I have other Macs to put it on, and I don't want to pay $220 per Mac. So it's cheaper for me to get the Mac App Store version. But long-time user might need to use it on Windows. In fact, I haven't used it on Windows for some courses that I've made. I need the Windows version too, so I pay the maintenance. But it means that for £142 a year, so I pay $99.99, knowing it comes out every year and there's no upgrade pricing on the App Store. I pay £100 for that, and I pay the maintenance, and I get the latest version on all my Macs. That, to me, given what I do, is cost effective, but I can understand for most people it's not going to be cost effective at all. That's probably the best way to do it if you've got more than one Mac. But be aware that you would be paying $99.99 every year. Whereas with the other version, you've got the big hit at the beginning, the $216.29, plus the $43.26. But in subsequent years, you would only pay $43.26. Do you remember when software was simple to buy and you didn't have to go through all these hoops and create 19 spreadsheets to work out what's best for you? Yeah, I do as well. But that's what I do. I buy both. But I can understand if you need to use it on Windows, you're going to have to go this route, and I would suggest taking maintenance. If you are only on the Mac, it could well be better that you go via the App Store. Completely up to you. Yay, Jonathan did take the maintenance, and he's still awake. Good grief. Good grief, Jonathan, I'm impressed. That definitely deserves. Well done, Jonathan. I think we discussed maintenance, and I did apprise you it was probably a wise thing to do. And when you got your little mail this week that said, here's your free version, weren't you thrilled? Weren't you pleased that I advised that? Because you've already paid the £42, you don't care anymore. You've got a free version. Oh, hello, Dee. Dee's in. Oh, no. Rugby team lost. Oh, right. I will cheer you up immensely. There we go. I will do my best to cheer you up. So that is a quick overview of the pricing. I'll do that much quicker next week. But it is complicated. You think to yourself, oh, maybe I don't want to pay the maintenance. Well, I should pay the maintenance, shouldn't I? Once you've paid the maintenance, that's all you pay all year. Every year, you just pay the £40-odd and you're done. So instead of paying 3 times that for an upgrade, that's why they want to do it. In a way, it's kind of subscription by stealth, but it's such a price that we don't mind paying it. So there you go. Like a free gift, Jonathan. And Debbie was thrilled to get that email as well. The thing is, you don't then feel the pain of the £43, do you? You're like, that was a good investment of mine. Really, really good. So we were looking at that in more detail next week. But right now, we're moving on to a little app called SideNotes, which I think Mike's got the link for. And it's in the App Store as well. It's also part of a bundle. So I'm going to go straight into showing you what it actually does, rather than it's digital Post-it notes is what it is. But it goes a little bit further than most in terms of the file formats it can actually handle. So let's go and have a look at it. It's actually there and it's already working. And we're good to go. You just need to know what the shortcut key is. Right, luckily that's the shortcut key. So what we're looking at here, this is the app, SideNotes. It opens up at the side of your screen. You get to choose which side, and you get to choose between dark and light mode. And you know what I'm like. I'm weird. I have light mode, except for all my apps, which are in dark mode. So in your preferences in here, you've got a whole raft of preferences. You can have this thing showing up on the right side or the left side. There it is on the left side. Whee! I prefer it on the right, I must admit. I've got it set to dark mode, but you could have it set to light mode. Oh, that's bad. That is blinding me, never mind you. So that is one that I would have quite dark. Ooh, Kim's being strict on young Jonathan. No half points, got to make it to the end. How long can I talk? Right, you can choose in what way that you hide them. So show or hide the notes with an open bar. So if I do that, I get a little bar at the side. I can have a hot side where I move to it, or I can have the icon at the top. And I think from memory, I just had it where I've created a shortcut key and that's it. Right, let's have a look what it actually does, and then we'll go back into the preferences. So how I've done that is, you see I've got this little floaty over thingy here. That's another way to do it, and you click there to hide it. If you want to see that, which I'll be honest, I particularly don't want to see that. So let's go back in here into our preferences. How did I have that running? Come on, preferences. Where on earth? Oh, other screen. There they are. Right, I don't particularly want that one, so I have turned that off. That should have disappeared. Let's see if it has disappeared or if it's going to annoy me all night. Let's come out of it. Come on. Now it's not responding at all. Crying out loud, what are you doing to me? No, it's still there. I don't know what's going on there. We'll have a look at it. So at the top, it tells you that this is SideNotes, and it enables you to search across your notes. You can also, in here, add a new folder. So these are the folders that we're talking about down here. The folders have folder icons, so you know that they're actually folders. Because I like to have an inbox, I've put something at the top that actually says inbox. Renee says, I'm afraid I'm going to need this. I've not even seen it yet, Renee. Oh dear. It is good though, I'll give you that. It is good. Right, so you've got your folders, and within the folders you put items that you need to repurpose. So I think the showcase folder, from memory, this is what they gave you. Okay, so they gave you this and said these are the notes. So your notes, each individual note is like a post-it note, and you can have as many as you need, and scroll up and down here with it, with all the different things that you can do. And this, like everything else, supports Markdown, or you can add code to it. Always expensive on a Friday night, that's true. And this isn't cheap actually, is it? Is it $28.99?
I think it was 28 or 29.
There is a way to get it cheaper. This won't do me any good.
No, it was $19.99.
It's a bargain. It's $19.99.
$20.
Right. The reason I was thinking that it was more than that was the simple reason that there is this, which is a bundle with both apps. Guess who went for the pair? Which was $29.99. So you can get it with some money off if you take it in a bundle, or you can buy one and then later on, when I've demonstrated workspaces, and you want that as well, you can do the upgrade my bundle and get it a little bit cheaper, or you can just buy the pair while you're there. But yeah, this is the one that we're talking about. So it's pretty little notes, but I can't see the price in there. Once you've bought it, they don't tell you. Okay. Is it on setup, Jonathan? Let's keep Jonathan awake for 5 minutes longer and have him check for us. That would be great. Right, so this is the aim of it, that you have notes that you can access, usually for me from the keyboard. So what I did was I created an inbox up there which just had that note in it, that as soon as I do that, I can then go and make some notes. So it's more likely to be things like maybe a web address. So I might want to put some web addresses in there. Obviously, I have these available as shortcuts, but if I wanted them available from there, then I could do that. They're clickable, so we can actually get to them from here as well. You've got font options in here, so you can make it into a to-do. So if we go in there, these are all the things that you can do with the text. So once they're done, you can check them off. So if you want a quick, like the Johnny board, Johnny. Oh, and it's on setup, so much merriment. Excellent. Well, in that case, have you not investigated it, young Jonathan? Oh, there's a sexy toy there that you've not looked at, and you get it totally for free. I see. Friday night's a good night. Okay, so I've done the to-do thing. I can put a picture in there. I want to put a picture in, so it's going to go and find a picture. These are backups that it's got. Do I have pictures? I probably do have pictures, don't we? What kind of picture do we want? How about the Roma one to make Mike a happy boy? Let's put that in there. And that's actually put the graphic in it, which is great because I can then use that later on. Now, that's one way to get a graphic in there, but it's not the best way to get a graphic in there. We will look at that. So still on the same note, because I'm in the middle of a to-do list, as soon as I add the next item, it gives me something else to do. So something else to do. And you can carry on like that. And the beauty of this is, if I just press escape, or my escape key is not working right at the moment. That's a bit of an issue, isn't it? I wonder why not. I'll fix that shortly. Let's carry on in here and I'll fix that. You've got all the links for headers and making it bold and bold italic and marking it and striking it through or even making it a quote. Oh, Dee says, let's keep Jonathan awake for 5 more minutes. Her victories have gone to her head. You can't let her talk to you like that, Jonathan. You've got to try for your supporters team, Jonathan. Do you know, he has done so well. There was one week he made it to 20 past midnight and missed it by about 10 minutes. I have complete faith and confidence in young Jonathan. He could pull this back for the year yet. Yeah, Team Jonathan behind him. Absolutely could. If you don't want the next item to be a to-do, you can take that checkbox away. And you've got all of this in terms of, let's put a quote in. That is marked down for a quote. So you don't need to do that. You can actually just use the angle bracket and put a quote in. And that, I think if it's in a note of its own, we had a note of its own and put a quote. There we go. Quote. No, it doesn't. But I would have thought that showed as a quote. But never mind. Right, let's move on from that. You can create a list. So a list would be where you start with a minus sign or a star, one or the other. All right, so list item 1. And then you can go down, and again, it's automatically creating list item 2 for you. But you can also take that away, and in your A here, you can create an ordered list, which means a numbered list. So in this case, it's number 1 and number 2, and all of this is marked down. So you could select it, paste it into a markdown editor, and you would get a bulleted list, you would get a numbered list. It's all completely transferable, including the quotes, which would come through as a quote. So we'll tidy this up a bit. We should put Steve Jobs' quote there, shouldn't we? Which we actually had a Steve Jobs quote tonight. So I'll put that there. I'll lose that image later, because I'm going to show you images separately. Renee thought it was sort of a clipboard manager. It sort of is, Renee. It can be. You have to choose to paste stuff into it, that's for sure. But I'm thinking of it in terms of being a clipboard extender, but one that has libraries for you to access. So at the moment, I'm only in the inbox showing you just this note. But in there, you can even have a code block. So if you want to put code in, I don't want a code there, actually, I want to go down there, delete that and put some code in. And you can either do it from these, and now I'm really struggling here. Mouse is having problems. Right, code. Some code. And you can put a block in, a block of code. So a code block would be where there's multiple lines of code. So some code is just literally one line of code. That is a multiple block of code. What would that look like? Something like this. So I have a typinator to create a YouTube block. And that is for this show. All I give it at the top of the screen, so that's typinator, totally separate app. I give it the YouTube reference and the title, and then when I press enter, it puts in a whole raft of code, all of that code. Right, now that's one heck of a note now, isn't it? Yeah, we really don't want that. Let's get rid of that for a start. Let's cut that out of the way. Right, so we've got all of that. But as I said to you, if you were to copy that, so the whole thing, in fact, let's make these a bit more neat and tidy up here. So if I take that and I put a multi-markdown link in, and if you're wondering about that, it's a typinator. Right, and go up there, and I think I've got an extra character there. I can see blue, and I don't think I want to see blue. That's better. Right, so over there, I want to get rid of that, take that, and do the same thing again. URL, which is my typinator, for a markdown link. So there's everything that I've got. So I'm going to copy all of that, copied, and I'm going to go to Ulysses, which is a markdown editor, And I'm going to create a new page to put it in and just paste it in. Now, not bad as far as it goes, but I could even in here, you see I've got a link here, but I've got the link there. In Ulysses is so clever, and I use it even when I'm not leaving the stuff in here, because it has this option where you go to, don't keep doing that, come on, don't jump. As soon as I'm moving over here, I'm losing focus here. Okay, hang on, let's get that and get rid of it. Right. When I go in there to paste, I can just paste, but I can even say paste from Markdown. If I do that, then it's beautifully formatted Markdown in here. So if I do a paste from Markdown, it's slightly different. This isn't working too brilliantly at the minute, and I don't know why. You see what's happened? It's like marked it as not genuine, and it should be. But it has actually put in these as code blocks. Each of these is a code block. So all of that has totally worked. These are links, but I'd need to reformat them slightly. And then that's come in as a quote. Which means if I was to send it to here and do a preview, so if we had a preview of it in PDF or something, you've got your bulleted thing in here. You've got this in a text format. So when you said like a clipboard extender, to me it kind of is. I am going to show you how to get the photograph out. I am, because I've got something specific to do with that. So I'm going to move that to the left. Right. What I will do is bring it back. And we'll go back into what I should be able to do here. I'm navigating up to now it's working. Right. Once you've gone into a folder like that, I'm not using the mouse. That is Command and down. If I press Escape, it takes me back to that level, and I can use the arrow keys to move up and down. And then when I want to go into that one, Command and down arrow. And what I've got in here is one note that's got in this image. Then I've got another note that's got all the posters for May in it. And then I've got another one that's got all the June posters in. Now, what has to happen with these posters is when we go into here, and you'll have seen this before in MacBites, in our areas, into MacBites, into show notes, into that one, we have a poster. And by adding that poster to there, it automatically uploads it. Oh, that's fantastic. That's what I want. So back in my inbox, in my rather dodgy thing that I've got up here, which is that one. Right, let's fold that up. This is what we've got. We have the ability to add an attachment, and it's so much easier for me. Let's say we've not even got that running. In fact, I'll probably be in it, but I would probably have folded it up. Right, and I'm at the point where I want to put that in. The last thing I want to do is go rummaging through the file system. So what I do is the shortcut key to bring that up and drag it from there and drop it in there, and I'm done. And that could be any application. It doesn't have to be Ulysses. It could be anywhere. So if we did the Pages thing, Pages is a good place to drag and drop stuff, isn't it? And dump it. That or Keynote. Come on, Pages, you can do it. You can do it. Let's do a new. And we'll have it in landscape because they're posters. Right. And in there, I just want to drag and drop that in. And there it is. I can drag and drop any of these in that I want, which is just too cool. Oh, that's such a time saver. To be able to just bring that up at the side, and that's next month's posters wherever I need them. And you might think, well, where would you need that? You know, in what circumstances would you need that? Right, let's get rid of this, and I'll show you for real where I need that. So we don't need that. Let's delete that. Let's get that out of the way. Right, I do at the moment have PowerPoint running, but I'm going to come out of PowerPoint totally. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to... I really do have a problem with that at the moment. Okay, let's get rid of that. Right. File, new from template, and I actually have, that's right, open on the other screen, why don't you? I have a MacBites After Hours template that I can go into. And that's what it looks like with all my dots on it. In particular, in here, we have To Show Friday, don't we? And that is a placeholder. And at that point, I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. Now I need to go and find the poster for, that would be next week's poster. So I need the poster for next week. But now, if I move that to the left of the screen, and I bring up the magic beans, and there's the poster for next week, I can just drag and drop that into there. Now you'll see at the moment it's not dropping too well, but that's the poster. What I need to do with it, the way that PowerPoint works, and this is, I mean, it's put it in, so there's no problem drag and dropping it, but it needs to go in there. And the way that you do that, you cut it and you go to there and you say, change the picture from the clipboard, and boom, there it is. So to have that available in that float over sidebar and then be able to drag it in and just paste it in there, oh, my life's complete. My life's totally complete now. So does that answer that question, Kim? I've just sold Kim on it. That was my use for it, because if it's something like text, there's other ways to do it. So let me give you another example. So let's say, are United playing next week, Mike? Well, let's actually save this presentation as next week's presentation, and there you go. You'll see it happening live. Let's do that one, and then actually put it in. Are you not going to do that for me? You're not, are you? Okay, I'll do it myself then, seeing as though you're in that mode. After hours, next week is 0127, and the date next week is the 7th. Okay, so I'm saving this for next week's presentation. For real, this is it. Or did I already do it? No, what have you done? I don't want you in there. I want you in there. Right, just save it there. Like a good little thing. Save it there. Right, there we go. So this is going to be next week's presentation. Right, are United playing? And if so, when?
Sunday, Villa.
Sunday. Okay, so this is what I would do. I would start off with that. I would then say, aha, it's a football one. Is it in the league, Mike?
Yeah.
Premier League. I have a template for Premier League. Okay, next thing to do. Have another template for Premier League, which is that. Okay. Now, what do I do now? Who did you say they were playing?
Villa.
Villa. Okay, they're playing Aston Villa. How am I going to remember that? Then I have to go and check that. So what I want to do is put a comment on it, don't I? One that I'm going to see. But commenting in PowerPoint, living nightmare. That's it. And even then I have to go click it and I have to say, they're playing Villa. Who's going to see that? Because I'm not. I'm going to forget that I've put it there. Right. There's another way. I mean, you do see that you've got a comment over here, but I'm still not going to see it. I want what Keynote does. And Keynote lets you put a post-it note in the middle. If you've never seen that, let's have a look at Keynote. Really simple. We'll do a new thing. We'll do a default. That's absolutely fine. Come on. Right. If I go in here and I make a comment, boom. Villa. That's the equivalent of what I want to see. Where's my mouse gone? There's my mouse. Right. Villa. Villa, go on, you can do it. Villa. When I come back to that, I'm going to know exactly what I need to do. And there's no option to do anything like that. You've just got that piddly little commenty thing at the side, which is useless. So one of my dirty hacks, I won't show you how to do it, but I'll show you the dirty hack. And if you're interested in how to do it, then I'll show you how to do it. But I need to fly through this presentation. I'm often throwing this together. 200 slides in maybe an hour. I've got time. I've got time to think. I create it usually after the show, but this is going to be next week. So I've actually created it now. I need a way to know that they're playing Villa next week. So I have a different way of doing it that I'm not going to miss. And is it a way, Mike?
It is a way.
That's what I put. I'm not going to miss that. And that's working in a similar way with different applications. So sometimes it's not just the applications you've got, it's how you actually work with them as well. So that is using a clipboard extender. That's not coming from PowerPoint. That could actually work in any other application I chose to make it work in. But there's how this that comes with it, absolutely useless, but this I'm not going to miss. So I will save that and we'll get rid of that. But that's how it works in terms of dragging and dropping images into it. I probably need to get that going again because when I want it, it won't be there and I'll be wondering where it is. So let's bring it back. All right, so SideNotes, as you were with SideNotes. So I created like a OneNote per month with these. And the beauty of it is you can navigate without the mouse. So I'm going to leave the mouse there. What I want to do with it is navigate upwards. Now, because I'm running so many little tweaky things here, it is actually, I am upsetting it to the degree that the shortcut key to get up a level isn't actually working, which is rather annoying. So I will have to use this because of the stuff that I'm running, but hopefully I'll be able to fix that. So I had 2 in the inbox, and going back, I had all of those in the posters. Now, I could leave them at posters, or I could even make them more granular. And I could actually, in here, add a folder for Mad May and Mad May's posters. So I could either leave it at Mad May or Mad May's posters. Go into that one, and I don't have a note at all at the moment. But if I add a note to it, there's my notes. What I would actually then do is, well, where are the posters for Mad May? Where's the one poster that I've actually done already? I can't remember where I put it. I had to do a quick tidy up before we did the show, because I know what you're like with icons. So I know I didn't do that, did I? So what I would actually do is use How to Spot to search for it. And I would know that it would contain deep dive data. And if I do that, these are my posters. And the one that I'm going to use all the time is this one. So I would take that and I would put that in there. And there is my poster. And now whenever I need that poster, which I'll need throughout the week as I'm working with it, it's there to just drag and drop it. It's fabulous. And then obviously I can put placeholders for the next ones and put the images in there, or I can add them to the same note and drag and drop them out of the same note. Same thing either way. Let's see if the nav is working at the moment. So navvying there and getting that out of the way. I think I changed something in the preferences. So let's whip back and look at the preferences again, because that is about it for this. You can put lots of content and lots of notes and organise them in folders and use a shortcut key. So if you look at the preferences, we have in here, I actually don't want that one. I think I want that one. Let me see if that is better in terms of this letting me in and out of the thing. Yes, Renee's convinced. Renee does need this. We knew this, didn't we? Let's go in and have a look at how the shortcut keys are working. So we looked at the preferences in here. You can choose whether you hide the notes by clicking in the empty space between the notes. So that would be something like this one, where you can click in the empty space and close it. But you see, it's not closing it. But if we put this, click on the empty space between the notes to close it, that should actually close it. So whether we want that one or not, you can click outside the app to close it, or you can hide the mouse when it's not active. So these are the options, the general options. But once you get into it, you can configure the font size. So if it's too small for you, you can configure that. You can change the line height and the paragraph spacing, which is all granular level of control in there. I'm impressed. You can even choose the default format. So if you don't want it marked down, you can change that. You can have the file widths go full width, or the file links full width, or make them compact. Does it only come in black like the original Ford? No, if you look at the general, brace yourselves because it's going to go light. There's light, and that is what light looks like. So if you prefer it to be light, you can have a light interface. I much prefer this one to be a dark interface, or you can change it with your system preferences. But I tend to have this one dark. Right, so that's our text options in there. If you're pasting or dragging and dropping text, you can choose whether you remove the indentations and remove the new lines. You've then got a whole raft of shortcuts, which learn them one at a time, or you'll drive yourself insane. Trust me on that. Right, the ones that are important, obviously, is the one to hide or show the app window, which I've got on all 3 shortcuts, Control, Option, Command and Spacebar. And that brings it up and hides it. You can choose to pin the window, which I haven't done. But what that would mean is that that window was then pinned in place while you carry on working with it. I do have a way to create a new note, which is that shortcut there, which again is the 3 shortcuts and the letter N. And that gives me an instant new note, but it creates the note where I last was when I was in it. So I was last in posters, and that's where it created the new note. For those purposes, let's delete that. It might be an idea to leave yourself in the inbox all the time. So when you close it and you then do your make me a new note, it's going to add it to the inbox. But obviously you can change that depending on what project you're working on at that point. You can choose, if you've got something on the clipboard, to actually put it deliberately in here, which is where it would work similar to a clipboard extender. You can enter a folder, like I said, with Command and down. You are supposed to be able to leave a folder with the escape key. But tonight, my escape key, not playing ball. So in there, you've only got the escape key and it's not working. That's unfortunate. I think I must have something running to broadcast the show that's conflicting with it because it's been working perfectly all week. I'm not sure what I've got. It could be PowerPoint because PowerPoint's running in the background, but it does work, trust me. You don't have to trust me on that. You can then switch between the notes. So once you've got your focus on the notes there, so that's my new note, you've got those shortcuts there where you can move up and down between the notes. So it's Command Option and down and Command Option and up. So even if you're in your images there, now I could do with a way here to have it to move up a folder without using the escape key. But we're not having it. It's not having it. So I'll have to do it manually. But if you look at like the posters one, you can see the thing flashing. As I'm moving that, I'm moving between the posters. You've got like a white bar. And using that will take me all the way down to the next note and cycle through the notes. So there's month, that's May, that's June, that's April. So these shortcuts are actually worth learning. They really are. Once you've got something there, you can move it to another folder. So you've got Command Shift and M. And you get over the top a little float over. You can quickly choose the folder and that will then move that to there. I'd then press Escape and come out to here. I can move up and down these and then I can go into the inbox. That's the active one, and I actually do want to move that back to where it came from, which was posters. So you can move the notes around. The beauty of it is just shortcut keys. Don't need the mouse. Love it, love it. It does make automatic backups. I think I made them do backups very, very frequently. It is enabled. Can't remember how often I had it do it. But you can't actually see it that. I put them in Dropbox. So I've got the Dropbox folder, then application support, and I put the backups in there, and that way my backups are backed up to the cloud. And you can view your backups, which we actually saw. There's the backups that it's actually made. And then there's your data, so you can actually open the data folder if you need to actually see the data. And in here, you've got all of your backups. Now, these were the backups that were made before I moved the backups. This is your JSON file that describes your data, and then if you've got images, then they're all in there as well. There we go. Isn't that just a fabulous application? How did you just get to the inbox without the folder icon next to it? Oh, hang on, let me have a look. Let's go back. How did you just get to the inbox without the folder icon? I added an emoji to the name of it, so that icon there is the emoji. But I can't get rid of this icon. I just added that so I knew that that was the inbox. If you wanted to do stuff like that, if I go into go into there, and let's say with that one I wanted to put a different image on it. If I put image, that's not good. Should we try photo? There's one of a mountain, isn't there? Yeah, that kind of looks like images, doesn't it? All I did was put that. Oh, Tracy would like para. I thought you meant parring in SideNotes. Oh, good grief. Inception, you could para your SideNotes. Oh, no, I've got to stop, or Michael never get going with his Excel. But yes, you could para this as well. Right, I'll put you up there. Right, Sarah's got it. Excellent. So that is something that you will see on my system. I will bring it up like that. I will do magic with it. And then same key to get rid of it. Once you get used to doing it, it's amazing. I think if you've got a job like Kim said, where I'm going to put all my images in it for the newsletter, that's a fantastic way to work. I work slightly differently to that because I've got far too many assets. But the way I do that, Kim, you might want to contemplate that just in case. Let's get Adobe Bridge up and let's go to the assets for this week. And that is what that looks like. So I have Adobe Bridge. Each week I have an assets folder and a data folder, and any assets that I'm going to use here. Oh, that one didn't make the cut, did it? But she does look adorable when she's asleep, bless her. Anything that I use for this week is in here. So there's the Roma image, there's the Leeds image, and I just drag and drop them from here. The beauty of that is if you get something hideous, that needs converting. So say like one of these images that I took. They're HEIC, high efficiency images. You can actually drag and drop them into Photoshop, but into PowerPoint. But if you don't want to, so some of these were cropped greatly. Have I got a cropped one? Don't think I have this week. But sometimes I crop them. So let's get one of these high efficiency. Well, let's have Madam here asleep. Look at her showing all her bits. One of the beauties of doing it in something like Bridges, if I want that high efficiency to be a JPEG, all I need to do is go to it and say export and make me a JPEG. And it will do it. So a JPEG will appear. So that's why I use Bridge. But yes, you could do that with assets, however you wanted to work with it. Whatever works best for you. Right, so that was SideNotes. Who's buying or who's already got it and didn't know they had it, but now they do. They're interested. Let me know. Right, I will. Oh, hang on. I've got preferences up over here. What are you doing? And you're not closing either. You're playing with my mind. Right, Canva. All I'm going to do tonight, on account of the fact we're pressed for time, is set up the Pro thing and create the branding kit, and then I'm handing over to Mike. And then we'll look at more of the Finder. So last week, we started looking at Canva. Last week, all I did was the free stuff. But we did discuss that there was a Pro version, which I know a couple of you have headed for. So let's go and have a look at that. Let's come out of that. I can't remember which browser I had this opening. Did I use Chrome? I've no idea. Let's use Firefox and see how it goes. Not even sure if I'm logged in on this one. But we'll bring it over and we'll have a look. Oh, and you don't want me to type in there either. You've been very awkward today. Canva.com, coming at you now. Oh, I'm logged in. That's excellent. Right, so this was where we left it last week. I will take you through the process for making specific types of design. But one of the things in the Pro kit, and we worked out, well, actually the pricing was interesting. Oh, Kim wants to do workspaces next week. Put that down, Mike. Yes, I will show you that next week. Workspaces is just so cool.
Workspaces in...
Workspaces. Yeah, Workspaces too, Mike.
Right.
It's the other half of the purchase. I have one, Kim, that says good morning. So I use a shortcut key and go into good morning and it opens Rome, it opens things, and it opens something else. I can't remember. So I do that in the morning, and the beauty of it is it closes everything else. It's fantastic. Love it. Right, so what I intended to show you today was, we were looking at the pricing, weren't we? And we were having great fun with the pricing. It was different all over the place, to be honest. Yes, this is probably what I'm going to end up going for, which is this here. Although that was 120 somewhere else. Okay, so what you can get here before you even go any further, so let's go back to where we were. We had all the ability to use the free content. And to be honest, if you're not in the market for paying for this, there is a lot of free content, a lot, including stock images as well as templates. If you go to the Pro level, then everything that's in there is free for you. It's it's not free because you're paying, but you know what I mean. It's all included for you. You don't have to pay piece by piece for the content. The other huge benefit, Sarah's installing it now. As it proved an expensive night. Not if you're on setup, it hasn't. There you go. Right, so it gives you the opportunity to create a branding kit. So when you go in, all right, this was the bit that I was interested in because I thought I can see a benefit to this, not only for me but also for Mike. If Mike wanted to create something, he'd probably just ask me to do it. But in here, you could create a branding kit, and then Mike would know exactly what numbers, hex numbers, were which. Oh, I've just remembered hex numbers. Right, let me have a look at all my designs. There's a MacBites design. Right, we had a yellow one, didn't we? Lovely, lovely yellow. Right, in here, did we actually have a way to get a hex code out? We can put a hex code in, but can we get a hex code out? I have an app for that. Right, I have an app for that. I can just pick up a code. So now I have a hex number there. Why is that important? Well, even if I'm not in here, so let's get rid of that at the moment. One thing I forgot to show you. Naughty, naughty me. In fact, we can come out of there, can't we? Now the escape key is working. Right, I'm going to make... Oh, but that isn't working. Oh, bless. It's really in a mood with itself, isn't it? Right, I'm going to drill down into that. There's my new note. If what I was going to put in was my orange, look at that. You don't even need the hex. If you type in a hex code, it gives you the orange, gives you the colour. So if we go, I've got my app. There's my app to pick it up. So that's my desktop blue. Let's just paste my desktop blue in. And what else could I pick up? What have I got lying around? What have we got in craft? Where's craft gone? There's craft. Right, back you come. Back you come. I need you. Over there. There we go. Let's capture some of these with my magic capture key. So there's a very nice red. We'll put that in there. Oh, isn't that cool? Forgot to show you that. Very, very cool. Copying it's going to be interesting though, isn't it? What do you get if you copy it? Ooh, excitement. If I copy that and then I go to the end and paste it, what do I get? Blue! Oh, it's fantastic. It's just the way it shows it to you. I mustn't get too excited. It's not good for a woman of my age. Right. It's so useful though, isn't it? Like the little app I've got to do that, but there's a sad sorry tale behind that, so that's going to have to wait till next week. Okay, so this was where we were up to, but we were just working with all of the free stuff on, and what we've used for all of these is free. But while I could get away with free, and I really think I could, apart from the branding kit and having access to all of the photos. So when we went into our designs, if we wanted some photos, we had the ability to browse the photos. Some of them were free, some of them were paid for. So the ones we used at the top, these were free. As you hover over it, it shows you that they're free. There are quite a lot that are free. Seriously. I mean, I'm scrolling down quite a way here before I'm going to find something that isn't free. But some of these will be premium things. But like I say, so many of them free. Some of the ones I wanted weren't free. So I went to podcasting, or podcast. And the top ones were free, but I thought, that's nice, that one. And that's got a crown logo on it, as has this one at the top. So it's very plain, but it's got a pro thing on it. So that's most unfortunate. You can still use it in your design. So I think we did have a look at that, where you can drag and drop it in. So let's drag and drop it in. But you get these hashes over the top of it. Now, I tried at some point, did I try a download of that? There we go. So, it says download with Canva Pro, right? Which obviously I'd need to pay for, or I can pay and download. Now, it says pay using 99 pence credit, and that would leave me with £5.94 credit. That credit is where people have subscribed via that link that Mike will put in.
I've already put it in.
He's put the link in. So that gives you a credit and it gives me a credit. So I could actually choose to buy that with those credits. So that's one option. If you give your referral link to somebody and they subscribe or get a free account, you will get a credit and you would then be able to buy the image. So although it says Pro, the other way to use this is to rack up some credits and then use the credits just for the images that you want. But you can still use these as a placeholder and see what the design would look like. Obviously that would need some work because I can't read the MacBites very well. But those are the two options that you've got. But the other big thing, as far as I was concerned, was the brand kit part of it. So that was why I was thinking, you know, I quite fancy this, want to create a brand kit. So what I need to do is work out here how we're going to do it. So there's a free for 30 days option. That's what I'll do. So I'm going to click on free for 30 days. Right, now, do I have to put in what I'm doing? No, I'm not a US resident. Oh, that's going to bump the price up by £20, isn't it, if I'm not a US resident? Right, how am I going to do this? Because I'm going to have to put the credit card in. That's not good, is it? Why can't you just take this without a credit card? That's not good, is it, Mike? Should I do the PayPal thing? Have I got enough money in PayPal to do this with it, Mike?
I've no idea.
I've no idea myself. Let's try that. Let's try that. Oh, pro tip. You didn't hear this from me. Notice what happened there. If I'm on here, it wants my credit card number and all of the associated detritus with it. And it says I'm a US resident. All right. And then I might have to click I'm a US resident, or it might start bothering me. But when I choose PayPal, it doesn't bother me at all. Which means if there is VAT to be paid on this, 20%, it doesn't look like I'm going to need to pay it. So that's probably the way to go then. But I don't need to pay that right now anyway. And they're going to remind me anyway. So I would go for yearly on that. Am I not paying with Apple Pay? No, I'm not paying with Apple Pay. I can't pay with Apple Pay in Firefox, can I? Don't I need to be in Safari for Apple Pay? Not happening. I'll tell it to do the PayPal thing. But we'll find out what happens when I click on here to do this. So first of all, we'll do that. Right, I will claim my free trial. And see what happens. Oh, it wants me to log into PayPal. Okay, I'll do the login to PayPal thing. But I'll have to take it off screen to do it, obviously. So I'll take it over here. And we'll open 1Password, which is also opened over there. Which is just as well. Right, where's my PayPal thing? PayPal. There we go. There's the password. Let's put that in. That should actually tell me, shouldn't it, how much money I've got? Let's do the login thing and see how much money I've got in PayPal. It's processing. Right, what does it say? Send to, pay with. What on earth is that? It says send it to me. Ah, if you hold a balance with PayPal, we'll use that first. Otherwise, it's trying to pay with it with some card that I'm not at all sure that I've actually got. So I'm just going to say agree and pay. But it isn't going to be charging until the end of the thing, is it? Right, let's have a look. Okay. Let's bring it back on. Right, so what we've got is Canva Pro at the top. Right, we'll be sending billing messages to my email. So that is correct, right? And then we've got all of this. How does 1Password work? Well, we've got that down for a demo D. So might add D's name to the I would like to a demo of 1Password. 1Password lets me look at all of my passwords and use all of my passwords with only remembering one of them. It's a database of passwords. And I would love to show it you, but if I do... You can see all my passwords, oh dear. I'm going to have to work out how to actually demonstrate this. Is there another way to demonstrate that, where we do that? Can we do that? Let me have a quick look. We could do that. Oh no, we couldn't do that. Hang on, not with that one we couldn't. Darn it. Oh, you're going to have to give me a way to think about that. I could demonstrate it if it had a demo mode. If not, I'm going to have to create a new vault and do that. So let me have some thinking about that. But 1Password is fantastic. 1Password is how that would actually work if you were logging into somewhere. So where could we be logging into? Anywhere really. But what you would see up here, I have the 1Password extension. So it would fill it in automatically. Fills it in automatically. But yes, there's LastPass and there's lots of other options for passwords. 1Password's just kind of it just became the standard for me as far as I was concerned. Just wondering if I've actually got anywhere that we could log into and actually have a look. Might be able to log into the dog site. Let's have a look there. If it's going to play ball, if the dog site's there at all. Have a think about it. Yeah. So what that's doing is it's asking me for a username and password, and there's a little 1Password icon, but it's locked. So what I'd need to do again is whip that off screen, just so I can put the password in the flaming thing. Right. I need to unlock 1Password, but that's the point. I only need to know 1Password to actually unlock it. In fact, I might be able to show it you here. If I go in there and I say 1Password, it wants my master password in there. Tell you what, let me just check that does put it in as stars. It's put it in the wrong place, crying out loud. Come on, you want my password. Stay there. Okay. Right, it does do what I think it's going to do, so I'm going to show it you. Right, so I've got a site and I want to log into it, and I click on it and the 1Password icon's locked. So what I need to do is unlock 1Password. So I go in there and I put my 1Password, my master password, the only one I need to remember, in there. And then it should come up with that. And I've got all my credit cards in there that you don't need to look at. I'm just going to autofill that. The other way to do it is to come down here. So if that didn't have a username in it, and it didn't have that in it, and I went up there, it would say, okay, this is the one you need. And it would fill it in automatically. I don't need to see that, do anything or anything like that either. And then log in, and it will log me in. And it needs to, yes, that's right. And it will log me into the back end of the site. Okay, so that's a very, very, very brief look at 1Password. But now I've got this, I could create a team if I wanted. That's where you get your extra members and your invite link and stuff. But what I was interested in was here. So first thing it wants to do is the brand logo. Holy shit, that's a long password. My passwords are, that one is about, it's not just, well, it is, it's words, but it's an entire like paragraph. I think it's 96 characters. I'm honestly, mine are incredibly secure. Right, so what it wants me to do is upload brand logos to start with. This is where you start needing to go through it. So what I'll do is I'll go get my brand logos and I will show you where everything is at the moment, and hopefully they are all in the right place. But I could imagine if they're not all in the right place, that would not surprise me. But let's go get that. So you'll also see in here more parroting, if that's where they are. So there is my Dropbox, which is parroted. It looks like it's not parroted, but it is. I've got my inbox and my 4 para folders, but down here, I also need apps, application support. That Elaine is shared with me. I can't move it. That's public file request. That's public shares, and that's the vault. So they need to be where they are. But other than that, it's parroted. So if I go into areas, you get my areas, and here's MacBites. Hopefully, some of that is in here. So these are all of our chapter markers that we have for the show. So what we're looking for is the show art, which looks like it's the only one that's not there, crying out loud. We've got a welcome. Don't see that. Did I leave one up here? No, they're January to December. Oh, isn't it typical when you're looking for something? Show art. Ah, no, that's individual show art. No, that's cheating. What that is, if young Jonathan's here, he's going to be so excited. Right, let's open that. These are the posters for all of the shows. So there's the posters for this last show. But what I don't have is the actual MacBites artwork. I will take one of these chapter markers just because I can. Right, so we do have after hours branding and we have Marooned branding. So let's say those are the 2 that I want to add up here. So our brand logos. So first of all, it's going to take us through a walkthrough. So upload it there. And when you've done that, set it and forget it colours. So once you've got your colours, you just add them to here. And then you've got your type, so you know that we use some very strange fonts. You can upload them if they're not already there. And then you create your first branded design. So you use what you've got in here and go and create a design from it. So it wants brand logos and it's looking at the desktop, but it needs to not be looking at the desktop. It needs to be looking over here. So the first one we'll put in is after hours. Can we add 2 at once? Let's have a look. Oh, we can. Look at that. Just look at that. Amazing. I might have a blank one somewhere, but we've added a brand logo. Now, obviously, we would need the other brand logos, and I've no idea where I've put those. I'm in a transition phase, to be honest. Oh, we didn't like that. I'm not logged out. I'm not. And they've actually uploaded, as far as I can see. Although that one doesn't seem to. Let's do a refresh. One seems to have worked because it's got the ... dots on it. Right, the other one didn't. So let's try adding it. I don't know why it didn't like it. Ooh, could it be too big? It shouldn't be. It's not that big, is it? Did it nearly get there, or is there a limit on it? If there's a limit on it, it would have been nice if you told us that. So that one might need to have the file size reduced. Do we have anything else that we could use, like a blank one? I don't think we did. Have a look. No, I think it needs to be beyond. It needs to be a certain size or below a certain size, and I haven't got a blank one at the moment. But I will endeavour to find one by going to my other drive, which is also parroted. So into areas and into MacBites, and somewhere in there I should have. Now this one says artwork, so with a bit of luck, there's a much bigger one. There is a MacBite, but that's 700 and odd. So if I open that, duplicate it first, copy paste, right, and I don't really want it called that, do I? So I'll make that, let's say 1,000 wide. So what I'm doing is I'm going to open it up, And at the moment, let's have a look what size it is. We're trying to get that down to about 500. So if I change the size of it to 1000, it's calculating. Let's just save it. Right. It couldn't be saved. What's going on? Come on. Really? Okay, we'll do a save as. If you're wondering how the save as appeared, that was an option. Option key held down. Don't need the alpha. That takes it down much better. We'll sling it on the desktop. Oh, this is bad form, isn't it? Sling it on the desktop and things. Oh. Carol says, oh my, I've got to get parody die if you saw your finder. Right, let's get that out of the way. So that's on the desktop. So if I do, has that? No, it's not worked. Let's do another refresh and get rid of it. And this time we'll add the MacBites one, which is on the desktop. And hopefully that one will open. Can't believe there's a size limit. Neither can I, Renee. I don't know why it doesn't like that one. No, it doesn't like that either. Another member of the team. I mean, for crying out loud, this is ludicrous. There's only me in the team. But it's lying to me because it's worked. So I've got the brand logos. Right. Next thing I'm going to need is the brand colours. So one option I had up here was to say extract the colour palette. And I could take that from there and those are the colours it's found. Black is obviously part of our brand and white is part of our brand. I don't know what the actual proper orange is. Now, what I can do is go to MacBites, and I think we have 2 different shades of that, but that's basically our orange. And as you know, I have magic beans that let me do that. It's a little application that just lets me pick up a colour from anywhere on the screen. There is a story with that if you want to know, so that's going to take a little bit of time. Right, don't particularly want that one. So can we remove that? Or do we have to remove all of them? That's not good. I will add a palette and I will put that in as the first number. So there is my orange. That I definitely want. Then I want another one, which is white. So I will add that. Then I want another one, which is black. So I will add that. Those are our primary colours. But I didn't need that one. So let's get rid of that. So they're the primary colours we're working with. We do, however, have some after hours colours. So what I'll do again, I'll pick one of these. That's a gradient, so it's going to be pretty much ballpark. But it does mean that it puts it on the clipboard, I can paste it in, and we now have an after hours colour as well. Right. It also has the ability in here, though. So first thing we would need to do is have that as MacBites. You can add and discover palettes. So people will create palettes and then you get to choose those palettes. So if you're working on something specific, like I'm never going to be wanting a pink thing. But if you did like Petal Party, then you could just add the entire palette. So you're not stuck just working with your palette, or if you're not particularly, artistic in any way, then you think these look nice. See, they're nice in the blue. I like those. Some of them less so, but I particularly like the greens and the like aqua colours. I think they look really nice. Okay, but we've got our palette. What's the name of the colour picker app? Can I leave that till next week, Renee, on the basis there's a bit of an issue with it, and I wouldn't want you heading off and trying it and stumbling across the issue. So I'll get Mike to put it in for next week. Put colour picker app in there, Mike. Right, let's get rid of these. Right, so what I do need here, I can add a heading style and I need to choose a font. Now, the font that we actually use is Myriad Pro. And they don't have Myriad Pro, no, because it's a paid for font. I have a quick way to get to my fonts folder, which is open the fonts folder. So that's Alfred. And in here, I have all of my Myriad fonts, which is all of these. I have no idea if it's going to want to upload all of these. Right, because there's quite a few of them. So we're going right down to there. I think I'd pick the standard one. So let's find regular, which is that one. And that's the one that I use on the slides. So that's the one I'm going to try and work with. I need to upload a font. So I need to go find the fonts. That's why I open the fonts folder and here they are. Right, down here, Myriad. Down the bottom, and it's Myriad Regular. There we go. So there's Myriad Regular. Right, confirm the following. I acknowledge that I own the font and I have the right to use it. I do indeed. Paid through the nose for it and get it uploaded. Don't carp out on me now. Right, so it's got the font that you've actually uploaded. So to add a heading style, my font should be available. Let's see if it is. There you go, uploaded fonts. So I now have a heading. And then I can create a subheading, which again, it's going to be the same font, the one I've uploaded, but at a certain size. And then I can add a body style. Now in the body style, I would probably put Avenir. And I don't know if Avenir is a possible. No, it doesn't know about Avenir either. So what I'm going to need to do is actually upload a font here. So up in the A's, I should have Avenir. And it's not in the A's, is it? No, where have you put it? Avenir and fonts. So look in the font folder for Avenir. Oh, it doesn't like it. Okay, let's search the Mac and see if it's there. It's got lots of presentations, hasn't it? But not my actual font. Oh, I'm going to have to dig out Avenir and find out where it is. Oh, I would have thought that was in the font folder. Unless it's on the Mac and I didn't actually have to install it, which means it wouldn't be in my font folder. It would be elsewhere. Avenir. It could be something like the Foundry name, like XYZ Avenir. And it's not finding it on there, I can assure you. What happens if I put zip on the end? No, it's not liking that either. Okay, I will find Avenir and I will upload it. For the moment, I'll go with another Myriad. So I've got 3 different headings in 3 different sizes. And I've got my colours. Right, so that is my brand kit. Untitled brand kit, but we'll make that the MacBites brand kit. Oh, I'm happy with my brand kit. Then, as it said in step 4, let's get rid of this. In step 4, we'll create a design. So what do I want to create? Have we got something for Insta? Oh, an Insta post. Let's do that. Okay. Now, it's flashing this up in purple in the top left to say you can resize this design for any platform because that's a pro feature. So it wouldn't have been there before and it wouldn't have mentioned that. But it's saying now, you know, you've got magic resize if you need to resize it. Obviously, that would work better taking it down rather than up, but you could do that. So yeah, we've got that. So these are the templates. Now, none of them now are unavailable to me because I've taken the pro trial and I can choose any of these irrespective of whether they were charged for before because they'd be part of the pro trial. So what should we go for here? I actually think that one is kind of cool. If we took that one there, we could maybe do something with the branding behind it. So, did I upload anything? I did. So these are uploads I uploaded a long time ago for, I think it was one of the Advent things. But I also have this. So if I wanted to use that as the background there, did I not drag that correctly? Let's undo that. I was hoping that that would twang like that. So all of this text here, I don't particularly need that. I might put some text on it, but I would keep it away from the branding that I've got there. And I might even move her down a bit so we can see Wolfie, because obviously Wolf is the most important thing. So what I might choose to do with that is go in there and come on. I want to go in there and edit it. That's better. Right, so join us next week. Oh, Jonathan's favourite words next week. For After Hours 127. And hours needs to have a capital H. Right. Where am I putting this? It's that tiny. Okay, and that probably needs to be much bigger as well. Right, so let's add that. Or I could get it to use one of my styles, couldn't I? That I've created. But there we go. So having that available as a kind of branding kit thing. Although with that you could just upload it if you wanted, but being part of the branding kit is probably a better idea. And down here we have a red dot because now we've got access to all of this lot. So it's anything that's purple is like you didn't have access to this before, but now you do. So I could do that and it applies the text style to that. So if I say got it on there and go into the text, it's now Myriad Pro. I didn't choose it from the fonts there. I just had to click on the brand kit and it would apply it. And if I clicked on this, it would change that to match the brand kit. So yes, now I've got the orange in it as well. You also can click it multiple times, and as it says, I don't know if you can read it too well, but up there, look just there when I hover, it says shuffle. And when you shuffle, it will shuffle around the brand colours and keep shuffling until you're happy with it, which is kind of cool. That is kind of cool. Gotta colour match the graphic. I should be able to colour match it with what particularly? What have you got in mind? Let me know. So that's formatted that as text, but I can make that bigger if I wanted to and do anything I want with it in terms of moving it, but it's still got the right brand font on it. There we go. I'm not sure about the orange woman, but you know, I'd probably with mine separate out After Hours into a separate palette. So I'd have a palette for MacBites and a palette for After Hours and probably a palette for Marooned. So I'd probably go for 3 with that. But if you wanted something that looked totally different, you know, like that. Oh my. And these are full themes. So it's actually changed the font as well. As well as changing the colour, it's changed the entire font. And then you can shuffle through it. You'd have to have her that white colour. Okay. Or something equally bad. Now that would work if the background was pink, wouldn't it? Now, she's a very dodgy colour there. That maybe. But I can imagine if you were... I mean, a lot of these colours speak to me as like, oh, Insta. Which is what they are, you know. Definitely Instagram colours. They're all like the turquoise and the pinks and stuff like that. But you are changing the font as well. So these are pre-configured for you to use. But the pro feature of this is that you are making one of these yourself. Oh, now she does look... Oh, do you know when Tracy was ill today? I got this idea of you looking green, girl. We're calling that one Tracy in honour of Tracy. Well, that's a nice set of colours. I quite like that one. Just a really easy way to do it. There's nothing here that you couldn't do in Affinity Designer. But let's be honest, it wouldn't be as fast. This is to get something out of the door quickly. I think I'm much more likely to get stuff out the door with this because everything's there. That branding kit is going to make the big difference because everything's going to look the right colour before we even start. So with this one now, although I'm not happy with her, that colour, definitely not. Oh, everybody wants to know about the app that's broken. I'll talk about it next week, Tracy. I will explain why it's a bit of an issue at the moment. But it's still working, but there are issues with it. If I mention the S word, you'll know the problem. There's a subscription situation going on. But I'm trying to work round a way of doing it. So give me a week to have a look at that, and I will. I can live with that. I can live with those colours. At which point, I'm then going to want to download it. Now, it will even at this point let me animate it. So as it says, make your design move in one click. So basically the bits that are over the top of my background design would then animate, which is a bit cool, isn't it? Do you want to animate it? Shall we animate it? Oh my. Do you know what? Let's leave that till next week. Right, let's go back to getting it downloaded. Right, one of the file formats is PNG, and that's the one that's suggested because of the file size and the quality. But part of going to a pro account is that you get to try an SVG download. So I think I'll do that. Do I want transparent? Not really. But I will download it. So the idea of downloading an SVG is if I wanted to, yeah, I'll look at you later, but not right now. If I wanted to carry on editing that in another application, I could do that. So in my downloads, I now have this SVG. And when I double click an SVG, it opens in Designer. Eventually. Go on, you can do it. You can do it. Or maybe you can't do it. No, you're going to do it. You are. It's bouncing in the dock. Tell you what, let's close some of these other applications, which we don't particularly need. It's still bouncing in the dock. There we go. I knew you could do it. Right. So it's downloaded exactly what we've got, but because it's SVG, instead of it being flattened pixels, it's created a layer in Affinity Designer, which we can then go into and tweak to our heart's content. This is not editable text in terms of I could change the font, but if I particularly wanted to change the after hours part of that into a different colour, so let's pick a lovely orange over here. Do we have a lovely orange? We do. Right, then I can do that with it. So it is editable to that degree. I don't think I'd probably want to do that much, but I can imagine it might be quite useful if I did. So in here I've got like a block shape that's then got a mask on top of it. But again, it's editable. The whole thing is editable. There's the outline of the person and so forth. D will designer. D loves designer. Well, D, you missed the beginning. You missed the beginning. In the week at MacBites headquarters, today was pre-order day. And I've pre-ordered a 12.9-inch iPad, much against my better judgment and financial prudence. But I have. So we can also do some demos of Affinity Designer on iPad. I could try that right now, but my iPad it takes against me too easily. So we can do that. Designer will appear soon. So this is just proving the point that with a Pro subscription, you can actually download it and continue to edit it. I don't know why you would do that in here unless you wanted to repurpose this branding on something entirely different. I might just want to take like the woman and the background and put them in a presentation, in which case I could just turn the rest off and take that out. Everybody's a designer junkie. Oh, good. Right, we'll do more on designer then. But that's just showing you that you can download it as an SVG and then edit it. So, purpose of today was to get this set up with the Pro account so we could test all of the Pro goodies out. So we've already seen the Build-A-Brand kit, because that was the most important thing as far as I was concerned. Another aspect of the Pro account is that you get this content planner. And the idea of this is that if you want something to go out, you can put it on here and then it will post to your relevant network at the appropriate time. Obviously, having only just done this because I wanted you to witness the how do we get onto a Pro account, I haven't configured anything like that at the moment. So that's what I'll be doing this week with it. Oh, Dee said, I ordered the iPad already. Never stood a chance of withholding, did you? Well, if they'd have been here this morning at 7:30, I was umming and ahhing, wasn't I? By the time I'd talked myself into it and thought, right, 8 o'clock order time, I discovered that 8 o'clock was not order time. So I could actually have had another hour in bed. Order time was 1 in the afternoon. But considering I didn't get to bed until 8:30, that wasn't pleasant, was it? I said to Mike, get me up at 10 to 1. And what did I add, Mike?
Gently. Get
me up gently. And Mike knows that I really, really meant that as well. Right, so we will return to Canva next week with a real project that will be using our brand kit. I will hook the content planner up to Twitter and we will tweet out live during the show with something that we have built in the show. How about that? I'll also look into the teamy thing. Each extra person is only £60, $59.88. Which is kind of cool, that. I'm liking that. In fact, I still have 29 days. That's good. That happened fast, didn't it? Because it was 30 days a minute ago. I could invite team members and then they would get it free for the same 30 days, which might be a good idea. I shall look at that and look into it. But Canva is so rich. There is so much we can do. Okay. So I'm going to hand over now. Let's get back in there. And, oh yes, I'm handing over to Mike for more infographics. Who does not want infographics? They've been great. Good idea of mine, wasn't it?
It was.
It was.
Right.
I need to push buttons for that to happen. So let's do that. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yay!
Right.
There we go.
And I'll pass you that.
Oh, cool. Right.
Okay. Infographics. Is this part 3 or part 4? I can't remember. Anyway, I have changed the demo that I was going to do based on the conversation that was had earlier about unicorns. So I'm going to do a unicorn demo. So what I have done over the past couple of weeks, this was the demo that I was actually going to do. But I will do this either afterwards or next week. But what I did last week is I created a waffle chart, but I created it in a certain way. And the way that I created that was I took my figures and I converted those figures into basically a pattern. So the number of red squares, the number of blue squares, the number of green squares is in a single cell, and it's based on the numbers that we've got in here. And then what I did is I created a text box which pulled in the number of squares and then resized that text box to have 10 squares by however many, 10 squares across, however many squares down. What I'm doing this week is I'm doing a similar thing, but I'm actually embedding the icons or the symbols, whatever you want to call them, in cells. So this is what I did. I wanted to have a block of 100 numbers. I wanted to have numbers 1 to 100. Now there's a couple of ways to do this. I could have just done 1, 2, selected those and auto-filled across to 10. But then how do I get the block going down? If I just grab those like that, I'm just going to get a repeat of 1 to 10. So yes, you can auto-fill across. You can also auto-fill down. Although in that case I would have had to have done 10, 11, blah, blah, blah. So it wouldn't have worked. Well, you could get it to generate a sequence of sequential numbers doing that, but it's quite complex. So to make that easier, I used one of the new dynamic array functions, which is the sequence function. And with a sequence function, I'm saying equals sequence 10, 10. So it's going to generate a block of 10 rows and 10 columns. You can give it a starting point. You can give it a step. So you could say start at 1, go up in steps of 1. But if you just don't specify those extra parameters, it'll just use defaults, which is start at 1 and go up in steps of 1. So that's a quick way to give me 100 numbers from 1 to 100. Just use the sequence function. It's one of the new functions, as I said. And that will give me 10 columns and 10 rows, and it just fills them with sequential numbers. Okay, once I've done that, in A13, I'm going to type Elaine's favourite word, which is...
Apple toys.
No, pink.
Oh. Oh, he knows how to disappoint a lady, doesn't he?
And I'm going to type in A14 another word, blue. And then I'm going to type a couple of numbers in. So let's say that we sold 30. No, I won't have a round number. I'll have 27. 27 pink...
iPads.
No, unicorns.
Go unicorns!
Pink unicorns. And we 73, I'm trying to work it out to add up to 100, 73 blue unicorns. Did you know there were blue unicorns? No, nor did I.
No.
No.
But I was surprised by a young lady who knew not to touch the horn.
Don't touch the horn, exactly.
Yes, you mustn't touch a unicorn's horn. It upsets the magic. So you've learnt something there.
Now, how I'm actually going to get these unicorns in is by using insert symbol, which I'll come back to in a minute. The problem is that I can't just do insert symbol on these cells here because it'll just overwrite the numbers. So I'm going to use another block of cells and go to insert symbol. Now, I think I covered this in a previous week, but basically every font is made up of a set of symbols. Most fonts just have the letters, the numbers, the punctuation characters, but certain symbols, things like wingdings and dingbats, which we did mention the other week because there was a conversation about wingdings, I remember it. So things like wingdings are exclusively made up of symbols, but something like Segoe, how do you say that?
I've no idea, I've often wondered.
Sago, as in Sago pudding. Yeah, Sago. Sago UI symbol. That is actually made up of the letters and numbers, but it's also made up of symbols. So somewhere in here there is a unicorn, but luckily in good Blue Peter tradition, I have got that on my recently used symbols list because I've been playing around testing it out. So I'm gonna use that and insert it and then close it. So I have inserted one unicorn, and then I am going to copy that across and down. So this is where it's a bit manual. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 unicorns across and 10 unicorns down. And I can check I've got the right number just by selecting all of those cells, and it does give you 100 at the bottom. The count function that you see at the bottom tells you how many cells you've got selected. Okay, so I could use any symbol for that. You know, basically any symbol. So there are tons of things that you could use. What I'm showing you for, you know, you could use well, footballs. You could use circles. You could use the Microsoft logo. Pretty much anything that's in there. Anyway, right. What I want to do is I want to colour those unicorns in based on the numbers in column B there. So I'm going to do this with conditional formatting by selecting all of those cells and then going to home, conditional formatting, new rule. And I want to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And the formula is going to look at A1. Now, when you click on a cell, when you're building a formula in conditional formatting, it makes it absolute by default. But I don't want it to be absolute because I want it to reference A1 for this cell and A2 for the B1 for the next cell and C1 for the next cell, etc. And for this one here, which is in M2, I want it to reference A2. So basically, for each one of the cells with the unicorns in, I want it to reference a particular cell that is further to the left. So in other words, in column M, I want it to reference column A. In column N, I want it to reference B. In column O, I want it to reference C, etc., etc. So I've removed the absolute from that. But if A1 is greater than B13, now that does want to be absolute because that is a fixed cell. If that is true, then I want to make the colour of the unicorn, not the colour of the background, but the colour of the unicorn blue. So we set the font colour here. Okay. Click on OK, and there we go. So you can see that basically everything after 27 is blue, because I said in the conditional formatting, make it blue if the value is greater than that cell there. Okay, let's go back and do another rule. So I'll select the same cells again and go and add another rule. Again, it's going to be use a formula, and the formula again is going to look at A1, but I don't want that absolute, and that way it won't keep referencing A1 in all the other cells. But if A1 is less than or equal to B13, so if A1 is 27 or less, then I want to make it the font to be pink. Now, I've used pink recently when I was testing this out, but if I couldn't find it, if it wasn't in my recent, then I could go to more colours and pick it. Just find a pink. That one will do there. That's pinkish. Okay, so we now have our pink and our blue unicorns. Okay, select all of those. Let's make the font bigger so it makes the unicorns bigger, and let's have a border around them, and there we go. If I change these numbers, so if I change pink to 54 and change blue to 46, now it's changed the number of unicorns to pink and the number of unicorns that are blue. Now let's go and actually change the symbol that's used in here. So if I go to insert symbol and just use this dot, get rid of the unicorn, and then just copy that across and down. So there's a way that you could just have dots. That's another very commonly used type of chart that you see, where you have a bunch of dots that represents numeric values. But that is it for me from me for today. So a couple of ways that you can represent your data with what they call a waffle chart. It's not quite a waffle chart. A waffle chart really is, well, I'm waffling on a bit, aren't I? No, a waffle chart is...
We don't mind, Mike. Carry on.
A waffle chart is where you have squares like a waffle. So this is a kind of waffle chart, but it's using symbols. Okie dokie. So I take it Johnny's asleep.
We think Johnny's asleep.
Yeah.
Don't shout. You might disturb the young lad.
I'd probably put him to sleep with that.
No, I think he was asleep before that. It was probably me. I take full responsibility.
Okay, right.
You never know. He might recover himself yet.
Okay. Right, shall I pass back to you?
Yes, give me 1 second to push a button here. Otherwise, magic won't happen. Magic won't happen if we do that. Right, let's do that. Right, okay. I need to be over there. This mouse pointers be the death of me, I'm telling you. Okay, iMac screen. Woo, there we go. This colouring of unicorns is going really well, isn't it?
Is it?
Everybody's loving the unicorns.
Oh, right.
Although Kim was tempted to touch the horn now.
Really?
Do you know what we did? This was a young girl, and she took a liking to me one Christmas, and she said, "Don't touch the horn." And she's got this unicorn toy in front of her. You know, and as soon as somebody says don't do something, but she got really manic if anybody did. So I was like, really good. But after that, every time we went out, you've got that cognizance again that you've been talking about unicorns. We went out, and every time there was like a teapot unicorn or a mug unicorn or a school bag unicorn, we'd take a picture of either Mike or me reaching out to touch the horn and send it to Nina and Rachel. It was Nina's granddaughter that loves the unicorns. Great fun. What can I say? Yes, now Dee is crying hopelessly because Johnny Supporter Land is upset. It's all right. He'll watch in the morning. I'll make sure that he reads these things, and we'll gear him up. We'll get him match fit for a future date. Or maybe start the show earlier. There's a concept, eh? Only so much earlier, though, because obviously Marooned. Anyway, last week we looked at mastering the macOS Finder. I broke it up because, as Mike said, he spent most of the week trying to put in place what I talked about last week. And yet I've got more to go this week. There is a lot that you can do with the Finder, and it will make your life a whole lot easier. We did say last week that the Finder... Well, I found the Finder to be... It doesn't feel like a proper app. And the reason is, one, the Finder windows just seem to open randomly. There used to be an incantation years ago in Tiger that if you open the window and you scaled it and placed it where you wanted it to open in the future, and then you closed it down and opened it up about 9 times with various keys held down, it would always open there. Yeah, until you reboot it and then it did something different. So that's the first thing. But the second thing that makes me feel it's not like a proper application is all of its settings are all over the place. They are all over the place. So last week we looked at the system settings and we looked at the Finder preferences, and you would think that was it, but that's not it. So half the time even I can't remember where everything is because it's in so many different places. So we'll go off and we'll have a look at something that I did briefly mention last week, which was this. On my desktop, when I have icons on it like that, mine has the file name to the side and it has information about it underneath. So this is the first thing we'll start with. We've been into the Finder and we've been into the preferences. And we were looking at that a lot, weren't we? But in here, we thought we'd got everything that we needed. right? We've got the tags, we've got the sidebar configurations, we've gone through the advanced stuff. So I particularly don't want to be warned about emptying the bin and stuff like that. That would drive me mad. So it's one of the things that I particularly get rid of. Right, but that's not it for the Finder preferences. I know, it's bizarre. But what I have open quite a lot, so at the moment the Finder is active. If you use Command and J, you get a whole extra set of preferences. Now you'll see that at the top it says desktop, and that's because it's the desktop that's active. If I were to open a new Finder window, now it says Dropbox. So these are contextual preferences. They are not global preferences, and that's why they're in a separate dialog box. Of which, who knew about that? Who knew about Command and J? Extra options. So these are per location. So they're opened up separately. I do think it's somewhere in there as well. This one. View options or hide view options. So it's view options that we're looking at, but in essence, these are separate preferences. So in this one, you'll see it says always open in list view, browse in list view. There is an option to group by and sort by. You can even change the icon size in there. You can also change the text size. Renee did not know. No, they just hide these things. This is what I'm saying. If all of this was together or there was some coherence to it, I would feel that the Finder was a proper application. But at the moment, I don't feel it is. You've got a lot of options here. So one of these is the columns that you show. You can also choose whether you see the file sizes or not. So if we picked something like the assets window, so this is all of the files in the asset window, you can see the file sizes, right? Even though in there it doesn't say calculate all. But what you can't see is what's in these folders. What sizes are these? Right? It doesn't tell you. But if you put a tick in calculate all, it will show you all of them, including the folders. So I toggle that on and off a lot when I'm working with them. Now, the reason that I don't leave it turned on is it takes processor cycles to calculate that. And if I've got a folder with gigs and gigs worth of data in it, I don't want the Finder, every time I go to it, to grind to a halt while it has a think about it to work out how big the files are. So I use it sparingly, but that option is available in there. Now, what I was particularly interested in was what my desktop looked like. So going back to my desktop, you've got fewer preferences because the desktop's a special folder. Obviously on the desktop, you cannot have these things showing in line by line like you can in a Finder window. But you can make changes, and obviously I did make changes. So I don't have them stacked, but there is an option to stack by, and then you can choose which category you want to use to stack by. You can also sort by. Now, interestingly, with the sort by, you've got sort by none. And then you can sort by the name, the kind, the date opened. It makes no sense to me to sort by any of those on the desktop. On the desktop to me is a physical area, and I want to drag things around and group them manually myself. So I don't do anything like that. But the snap to grid is useful, because if snap to grid is turned off and we have these, you can see they can be placed. They are actually snapping to the grid though, aren't they? Come on, turn it off. No, that's better. Right. Then this is how you end up with OCD hell. Your OCD kicking in yet, Mike? No, he's playing with Excel. But yours probably is, looking at that lot. So what I would like is that when I move these things, they twang. And I want them to twang into a nice order. So in the sort by, that makes no sense that this is in there. But in the sort by, you have an option to snap to grid. And when you turn snap to grid on and you start moving these things, right, let's get these out of the way. No, not that far out of the way. But when you move these, yes, I do want you to move it, get out of the way. Right, when you move these, you'll see that they move a little bit more themselves. So you get a nice grid. And then we have Mike's desktop. Mike's desktop's a work of art.
Nothing wrong with my desktop.
Modern art. It's like installation art, Paul. You just have to close your eyes and think of England. Right, so that is what gets them in a nice, neat order. And it is that snap to grid. I don't think that makes sense to have it in sort by, but you know, your mileage may vary. Right, in here, these are set to 64 by 64. But if you want to take them up and make them much bigger, you can. So if it's photographs that you're trying to organise or icons you're working with, then you can take them up to 128. And you can take them down smaller if you want them down to 16 by 16, which makes no sense at all to me. So I particularly like the 64 square grid. That makes sense to me. And you'll see sometimes they don't line up properly. And sometimes you have to give it a kick, particularly if you're playing around in here. You've also got an option to change the grid spacing. So you can change the entire grid spacing if you want. The bit that I changed was the fact that the label position can be switched from the bottom, which is the default. There, that's your default. And at the bottom, you've got whether you show the icon preview, which takes a tiny little bit of processing, and whether you see the information or not. So that is the default. But if you want to see the information, then you can turn that on. And if you want to see the icon preview, you can turn that on. Once I was turning on information and the name, then the problem is here I couldn't see enough of the name. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. It made sense to me to put the name to the right. It makes such a difference. Mike's never tried it that way, but it's, you know, when you're setting up a machine from scratch, which I'm working on putting a list together. I think it was up to like triple page numbers. That's one of the things that I instantly change. That's not the default. The default is text size 12 at the bottom with no information, which also means you can't get as many icons listed down the side of your Finder because you've got the icon and you've got the text. So I much prefer that on the right, means I can put more up there and I can actually read it. And seeing the item information, it's particularly useful when it's graphics. If you've got on the desktop, if each one of those was a different size, you could see the size. So it does make much more sense. I did have, didn't I? Where did I put those? They were somewhere. No, I've no idea where I put them. But when the icons are the same, so I'm thinking, oh, I know where they were. Of course I know where they were. Good grief, woman. Right, they were in my areas, weren't they? They were in MacBites. They were in Show Art. Right, so down here in 37, these are pretty much the same. So if I grab these, oh, let's have the blurred one as well. No, don't open them all. Just let me select that. And I drag and drop these on there as copies. It's much easier to work with the fact that I can see Show Art and the number and also the size and the format. But I don't even have to look at the file name to see the size because the size is underneath. So if this was going in an email, which it did, that's the one I need. That's the size for the email, 600 by 337. But if I want the one for the blog, then that's that one, which is 795 by 500. And it just makes it easier that it's underneath in each case. And I can see them neat and tidy. Right. What else do we have in here? Well, that's it for what we've got in there, looking at the desktop, but that's how you do it. So it's Command and J, and you can get to view and view options. So you can hide it from there, you can show the view options. So the option that you're looking for is called view options, and you can get it from the Finder window. Now, in something like this, you've got more options in here. So this particular folder is not set to open in list view, particularly. I prefer it in list view, but it's not forced into list view. I know you're backing up. It's just midnight, isn't it? All right. So you could turn that on and make sure that that folder always opens in that view. But you also have view options in here, don't you? You could change it to that. Now your options over here, let's get rid of those files. You could say, so basically what's happening in this view options is everything that you've got in this window Whatever view you have set, and you have the thumbnail view, you have the list view, you have the column view, and you have this view, the thumbnail view, where you can go across. And obviously I'm on Catalina, so that's looking slightly different than it would on Biggles. But once you're in these views, your settings in your view options change. So do you always want this opened in gallery view? But if I'm not in gallery view, if I'm in this view, do you always want it open in column view? Or would you like it opening in the icon view? So you have all of these options. Right. If you are in, so if we go in there, you get to browse in icon view, or you can turn that on and off. I don't particularly want that set like that. And I'm not grouping by anything either. But if I were, I could group by the kind of file. Now, would this make much of a difference here? Well, it would, because I've got PNGs and I've got JPEGs. I've got a PDF, and sometimes I have an SVG. So if I said, yeah, group them by kind, I now separate out PDFs from images. So I'm not separating it down to the granular level of there's a PNG group and a JPEG group, but I've grouped them in a completely different way. Usually I get this question when somebody's inadvertently done that and said, oh, everything's moved, what have I done? And you can then, with this, if you've got lots of different file formats, you can fold them up, get more details or not. So it's just very many different ways to look at the same files in the same folder. So that one is grouping by kind. You could group by application, which in this case isn't going to be that much different. You could view them by size. So 100k to 1 meg, and then 10k to 100k and so forth, which I'm not sure when I'd use that, but you can. And you can even group by tags, and we don't have any tags on there, but we'll be looking at that in a second. So let's take that back to none. Then you've got your sort by. And again, you've got the option to snap to a grid, but you've also got the option to sort by name, kind, date opened, all of this metadata applied to your files. Because you are in grid view, you get to choose the size of the icon. So again, just like on the desktop, you can take that up, but this time to 512, which is probably far too big. But you know, for something like this, might be handy to take that up to like 160, and then I can actually see them. It'd make more sense to do it if there were different posters, but you could do it. And in there, obviously they're scrolling across at the moment. I reckon if you flip it back, oh, you're not doing it. Naughty, naughty. You can also do that with this view here. And that is linked to that icon size that you have over here. So if you inadvertently move this and then you're like, oh, I need them back, they're 128. There's no way on this to know where 128 is. But in this info window that you have, you can easily take that back to what it was, which is actually the middle ground. Right, then you've got the grid spacing. So again, it's just the spacing within the grid here. I don't change that, and there's not a particular number that I can see it set to. So I tend to leave it alone. But if you need to bump up the size of the text, that's a nice change. You've got a limited range that you can bump it up to, but that's only because so it fits to the grid. But as you get older and your eyes get tired like mine, how many pairs of glasses have I got, mine? It's not like I keep losing them and that's why I've got lots of pairs of glasses. I've got lots of pairs of glasses because they're all different strengths. And I actually said to Mike yesterday, I took my glasses off for the first time in about 2 months and I could see the screen absolutely crystal clear. My eyes are the bizarrest thing you have ever seen. But that's very handy if you need that. My dad would have needed that. Right, so I'm going to take that down. You can only go from between 10 to 16. And I could cope with 10, but I think 12 is a nice compromise. It's quite neat and it's a nice compromise. Right, so we've got that one. In here, you can, in this view, so only in the thumbnail view, can you put the label on the other side. Which doesn't make sense because you're scrolling. You can get, this is what I'm saying with this. We actually need this just to force itself to fit the window. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So if I close that down and I go back into it, let's have a look. Let's see how it behaves. So MacBites, show heart, 137. Does it remember that? No, not at all. So I've got to start fiddling around again. which again is forcing it out. But you can do it. All right. Again, you can show the icon preview or not show it. And what isn't shown in here by default, whether you have these labels on the bottom or on the right, is there's no item info. But you can turn that on, and this time it's in a nice blue. So now it even stands out better than that. So there's just a whole range of options in here. Like I say, the reason that they're separate does make sense from one perspective, that you change this on a folder by folder basis. Now that didn't remember that view, but if I put a tick in the box and I browse in it as well, and I close that down and go back into it this time, it should remember. If it doesn't remember, then it's going to make a liar out of me, isn't it? Down at the bottom, and there we go. It does remember, and it remembers everything. It remembers the thumbnail size, it remembers the grid spacing, remembers the size of the font, it remembers the extra information underneath, and if I'd put this to the right hand side, it would remember that as well. So, a lot there. Right, even more than that, there's nothing to stop you setting a background to the folder. So you could choose a colour. So literally go in there, choose a colour that you particularly like. So if we made it more orangey, because it's MacBites, and then instantly I would know that was MacBites. And again, you could make sure that it saved that. At this stage, if this is what you want for your entire setup, you're particularly into Peach, you've got an option at the bottom to use what you've set up as the default all over the place. I'm not touching that right now, but you could. You could do that if you wanted. Let's see if we go back to the show art and back in here, it remembers that. And so that might be useful to somebody. You can also set a picture. So if we had the waves, that'd be good, wouldn't it? So in here, back up a level to MacBites, do we have, and I must admit I use it in this a lot, we've got we got the show art. Do we have the artwork chapter markers? Right, let's take one of these. Should we have the welcome? So it says welcome, like that. Right, if I were to, in here, go to the view and choose a picture, and then drag and drop the picture over there. Now that's yoink, that's nothing to do with that. Let's get it out of the way. Right, and drag and drop it there. You now have that as the background. Obviously, the efficacy of that is somewhat dubious, being black. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, probably images, not the best way to go. Or if you do, make a special image that's white with the wave on it, and then live with that, because black doesn't work well. I actually think changing the colour is probably more useful. You know, if you're working with a particular folder and you quickly want to know. So if we set that one up like that, where was our orange? Orangey like that. Oh, you're liking this, aren't you? You see, there you were thinking, I'll find, you know, what on earth can you find to talk about? Oh, loads. It does do a lot. Right, so if I have that there, but I open up a new tab and I navigate to that one, so back to MacBites, but this time I'm going to a different poster. So we'll go to the show art, we'll go to a different one. Right, we'll go to that one, all right, and turn that into this. It's really easy at that point to say, this is the one I'm working with, this is another one. Or you could even change the colour of that one to be a slightly different one. So if I'm working on something that I don't want purple, one kind of blue, like that. So that one could be my after hours one, and this one is clearly my MacBites one at that point, and it just makes it, everything that shaves off a fraction of a second, one, it makes working faster, but two, it calms you down. Seriously, because instead of getting fraught of where's that file, it's the blue one, I know exactly where it is. It's cool, isn't it? It's very, very cool. You could indeed make your backgrounds in Designer, Renee, absolutely. What I'd say with the backgrounds, try and make them quite pastely and quite subtle, and then they'll work really well. Obviously in this one at the minute, I haven't turned on the item info, but because I've made the background blue, the blue then doesn't stand out so much. So maybe a matter in here of like thinking, well, maybe Kingfisher would be better, just so it gets some kind of contrast with it. But you know, you make it really, oh no. But you know, maybe some people would like to work like that. So I would personally stick to colours. You know, if I change that to a blue, you can literally see the information disappearing and now can't see it. And it's only because of the colour of the background. But yep, you can do that. You can get that fixed. So when you go back to it, it remembers that. It remembers that. Or you can change it globally if you want to. Oh, let's share backgrounds in Slack. Oh, I'm liking that idea. Excellent idea. Go for your lives. Go for your lives. Right, so do you now know much more about it than you thought there was to actually know? Right, one thing I'm going to show you. I particularly prefer mine to be in list view. And when I'm in list view, you'll notice that the colour disappears because I've got alternating lines. But I use list view a lot. Even when it would make more sense maybe with some of these, if you could actually read what they said, to do them like that, to do them in a thumbnail view. I don't bother, for the simple reason I use Bridge. So Bridge gives me that view, and the beauty of Bridge, why I would do it, is Bridge can do one thing that the Finder can't do. I would like it to be able to do it, but it can't do it. So what I'm going to do in Bridge is, right, so picture the scene. It's Thursday night and I'm trying to get a show out of the door and I need my artwork. There's my artwork. Look at the names of them. CM for chapter marker. Welcome, MacBites, Chatbites in the news. They are going in the sequence I would use them. Same with the chapter markers in here. With the chapter markers, I actually put 01, 02, 03, and then put the name of the month. That way I'm certain they're going to sort correctly. But you go back to this one. What sort order is that? Because it's not alphabetical. And that's what this can do. It can remember a sort order, so it's sorted manually. But there's nothing to stop me sorting it by file name. That wouldn't help me at the point of putting a show together, because I need to start with welcome and look what comes after that, the wrap-up, crying out loud. But it remembers the manual sort order. So I just come into here, switch that back to sort manually, and I've got them in the order I would actually use them. That's really useful, and I can drag and drop them from here. And if you remember, I made a view that was mini Bridge, which was a really tiny view that I just scroll up and down and drag and drop the ones that I want. So that's something I don't use the Finder for. So that's why I don't actually have much in the way of views in here where I change the background and I change the sizes and all of that. Only for that reason. If I didn't have Bridge, then I would probably do that. Right, now, because I'm working mainly in list view, there's reasons for this. I might want to sort it alphabetically, as I've got here, A to Z or Z to A. Right. And then there's the date modified, there's the size, and I click once and it flips the sort. So there's smallest to biggest, or I can flip it. I can even do that by kind. So, picture the scene. There's Mike. And shall we use these? Why not use these files? So let's say in here, these files mean something particular to me, which they don't. I'm just doing this because. Right, last week we looked at the tags and the fact that in the UK, grey is not grey is not grey. Or it might be. Leave it alone. But we fixed that. So I've got these basic tags, and let's just say I'm creating a traffic light system. And what I want to do is say, okay, these ones I've not started. So they're red ones. But these ones I've worked on. Now, this was actually Mike, wasn't it, Mike? He's forgotten, bless him. Right, so I've started work on these. These I've done a bit more work with, so we'll say those down there. Make those yellow. And some of them I've actually finished. So the top one and that one and that one I've actually finished. So they're green. Right. That's great, but the dots are a bit small, aren't they? You used to have an option, I think, where they went the full width and it was great. But no. No more. You can change how they actually look. That's somewhere else, isn't it? I think we looked at that last time. In the general, wasn't there an option in there? You can change the colours of the accents. There might be an option where you can do that somewhere, but that's not what we're going to do. Because Mike's actual issue was, right, there's some files he hasn't even started yet. They're not even at the red stage. They've got no tag at all. The other tags, the yellow and the orange particularly, are so close together in colour, I can't tell them apart. But I'd like to have these sorted by the tag. So we were having a conversation, Mike and I. And he said, oh, I just wish you could sort by the tag colour. I said, you can He said, no, you can't. So ensued a, oh, yes, you can, oh, no, you can't moment. I said, oh, yes, you can. Right, so this is what I showed him. You have an option up here, right-click. You can show the date modified, the date created, last opened, date added. The ones with the ticks are what you're seeing. Date modified, size, and kind. Tags is an option. When I turn that on, these are the tags. It puts it at the end. Let's drag them back so we can see it. And what you can then do is you can click on that and you can sort by the tags. Now, obviously, you're going to sort alphabetically here, but don't forget that you can add your own tags and call them what you like. Oh, you could power it with coloured dots. Oh my word, don't let me near the machine. But you could. So Mike now has Utopia, don't you?
Yes.
Now he knows he can sort by the tag. So you can sort by any metadata that you like. But the first trick to that is to actually showing that up here. So if you wanted to see the date it was added and then search, these are all the same time, aren't they? Nearly. And sort by that, then you can. You just need to show it first. And then when you've done that, you want to get rid of it, you literally just toggle it off again. So it would be nice and logical in my little brain, but you tell me, if the tags had like the dot next to them, or at least the option to put the dot next to them. Now, it's more confusing in this particular view that we've got here because the green tick means this is in Dropbox. But you can see how annoying that is. It's kind of overwhelming, the coloured dots, particularly the green ones. And these would be fantastic if they had the dots next to them, but they don't. But there you go. So you can actually sort by anything that you want to. I also have, and I don't know if you've noticed here, and I'm reading all about Graham with his Finder folder, you can turn extra bits on. So at the side, we looked at what you could put in the side, and it's simple in the side. If you have something extra that you would like to put there. So on our desktop, let's say we've got these and we want to put them into a folder. So we'll put those into a new folder and call that MacBites CM chapter markers. That will do. And in here, we've got the show art. So this is just the show art. Is that all the show art? Could be, don't know. Show art. So these just happen to be on the desktop. It doesn't matter where they are. They can be anywhere. I think we've got them all. Right. Let's move that back. If I wanted access to these all the time, quick access to them, then you add them to your favourites. So I'll drag that down the bottom of there, and that gives me quick access to it. So I do that and it opens it up in there. Parrot coloured backgrounds. Oh, you guys are on fire tonight. You are on fire with that. Also, if you want to delete it, drag and drop it out. You wait until you get the cross and then you just drop it. I try not to do too much over here, like trying to be organised. And you'll notice they're not parrot. No, they're things that I need. I took away quite a few of these, but no, that's what I need to see. In fact, I don't need Creative Cloud. Do you know why Creative Cloud's there in my favourites? Because if it wasn't, I'd have no idea where it was. No idea at all. So just leave it there. Never use the inbox either, but just in case I ever do. So I've got those in there. What else do we need to do with that? We've looked at that. We've looked at that. I will show you the new tab thing. So originally in here, let's come out of there. We used to have in Finder, new window, new window, new window. And you get all these windows. And I don't know about you, drive me mad. They feel like a dialog box. They don't feel like an application. Okay. You do not, they just don't feel like an application. And when you've got like half a dozen of them kicking around, pointing to different folders, fair enough. So let's point them to some different folders like that. You're constantly at this business. Now, one option I have to fix that, and maybe Mike can make a note of this. One option I have to fix that is I have this, which is Witch. W-I-T-C-H, Witch. And that enables me to toggle between open windows in an application. So if I want to see the desktop one, I click on the desktop, it brings it to the top. And I can actually, with the same shortcut key, toggle through the lot. So that's an extension to the Finder that I particularly couldn't live without. That works on all applications, it's not just the Finder. But no, that's not going to be good enough for me. I want to consolidate all of these tabs into a window. So I've got separate windows. I would like them to be separate tabs rather than separate windows. You now have an option to do that, which is in Window, Merge All Windows, like that. And you then get one window with all of the tabs in it, which is grand. But, don't know about you, I haven't got the patience to be up here and fiddling around with Merge All Windows. I would like a shortcut key to do it. I would like that to happen on every Mac that I've got. So let's pull all of these out without me having to remember to do it. So when I installed this Mac and I did what I'm about to do, nothing would happen. Okay? But soon as I installed Keyboard Maestro, this worked. There is another way to do it. Okay? The other way to do it is to set it up in the keyboard preferences in here, which we have discussed in various other places. So we have shortcuts in here. You could add it in there. But then you'd have to add it on every machine that you work on, which is time consuming and I don't want to do it. So this happens with Keyboard Maestro. So I have all of these windows and I would like to merge them. Hand off the mouse and I have a shortcut key. Mine is set to Control and M, merge, and it merges all the windows. I find that much quicker. Just to have a shortcut key makes it much quicker. Isn't favourites always in the sidebar? Favourites doesn't need to always be in the sidebar. If you remember what we looked at last week, in the sidebar you can control. If you take everything out of here, I don't think favourites actually appears. You can fold it up, but I don't think that actually appears if there's nothing in it. Maybe somebody can test that and have a look. Right, so merging the windows is something that's happening with Keyboard Maestro. It's not difficult in Keyboard Maestro. It's really simple. So I will show it to you if you are using Keyboard Maestro. It's fairly simple. This one needs to be global. Or does it working with the Finder? How did I do it? Let me have a look. Finder. There we go. I did two things with the Finder with Keyboard Maestro. One was this. Really simple. So you tell it what will trigger the action, and then you tell it what action you would like to trigger. And it's really simple. When I press Control and M, I would like you to select the menu item, Window, Merge All Windows, and that's it. Pretty simple. That's it. There is one other thing that I did with this, and I don't know if it's still broken, but it was, which was this business here. If you're in the Finder, right, and you've got something selected and you want to not have something selected, it makes sense to me to use the escape key. For about 12 years that worked absolutely fine until I upgraded one day, and I can't remember which operating system it was. It wasn't Mojave, so it was before Mojave. What did I have before Mojave? It wasn't LCAP, was it? Whatever was before Mojave. Was it Yosemite? Well, something broke it, and I'm pressing the escape key, thinking, why is this not doing what I want it to do? Which is literally just this. Right? I've got some stuff selected, press escape. Unselected. Don't select anything in the Finder. What did it do? It just thumped at me. You know that kind of thud sound effect it's got when what the system's saying to you is you can't do that. You can't do that. It did that. So I thought that's not on. But I came in here and I actually had to script it. So every time I press the escape key when Finder is active, I want it to tell the application called Finder to set the selection to nothing and then stop. I actually had to code that to do what it did before. There are no words. In fact, I think bad words were said at that moment. But again, it's to do with the Finder, and it's to do with, I mean, the other way to do that, if you've got all of this selected here, so random selections, would be to do what? Put your hand on your mouse and click something else. But even that selects something. So maybe you want to click away somewhere else, but I don't want to do that either, because I want to be in here, because I want to make maybe a manual selection like that with the arrow keys. So it's just annoying. When I press escape, it should unselect everything. It should deselect the whole lot. So I've fixed it. What setting in preferences was it if you only have one Mac? Okay, right. You need to go into System Preferences. In here, you go into Keyboard. And in your shortcuts, you go to App Shortcuts. You then need to add the application in here. Oh, this is why I dread getting a new Mac. That's why, as much as possible, I put in Keyboard Maestro or Alfred. Right, in here, you would need to add when the Finder, so you would need to go and find Finder. Hopefully it's included. Finder. All right, so when I use this shortcut key, so the shortcut key that I had was Control and M, but I'm going to make it a different shortcut key. All right, and then you need the menu title, and the menu title must be absolute. So with this one, it was, let's go back over here, window. We haven't got separate ones, so I'm going to pull it out, which makes it active. So it was window, merge all windows. And you have to be absolutely precise in terms of capitalization. So let's get that out of the way. Window, merge all windows. So the menu title up here is merge all windows. And I'm going to add it. So in the Finder, merge all windows, going to work with Control, Option and M. So here is some Finder windows that I want to be merged. I've just used the shortcut key and it's merged it. And that is obviously totally free. The problem with that is, that way of doing it, document it. If you don't document it, it's not going to work. So document it. So it's simple enough to document it, isn't it? Take a shortcut key, take a screen cap. That's it. Now it's documented. There it is, landing on my desktop, and then it'll go up to where my things live. And that's it. So you do that on the machine that you're going from. But as Kim pointed out, sometimes you are in a situation where the Mac that's on your desk, you're recycling it in some kind of way where it's not going to be on your desk when your new one arrives. You can take a backup of everything, but stuff like this is so nuanced, you would probably forget. So what I do with stuff like that is actually document the whole thing in Folger. And there's been a long history of what I've done that in, from screen steps, through step shot guide, through clarify, through you name it. But in essence, I'm taking a screenshot and I'm putting some text underneath it that says what I did and why I did it. And then future you will thank you. Right, okay, I need to get rid of that because I'm not going to use that. So it's as simple as that to get rid of it when you're done. But that's a totally free way of doing it. Keyboard Maestro is probably overkill for something as basic as that. Would you believe it? We still have not got to all that you can do with the Finder, much less anything else. But just to give you a tease in case you're thinking that it's Finder, let's get back into here. Once we've done the Finder, I will be showing you lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of other applications. Pathfinder and Forklift are Finder replacements. So the first one we'll look at is Pathfinder, then we'll look at Forklift. But then there's a whole raft of applications. I haven't even got icons for them all. There's that many. But Hazel helps you automatically move files. Default folder is fantastic. It's a real utility. It works in the Finder. It works in dialog boxes. It's fantastic. You can even control the Finder with Alfred. And there's 3 applications that let you do what you see me do a lot, which is drag images and content onto a shelf for repurposing somewhere else. And they were born out of Lion and its full screen thing. So there is in there Drop Shelf, Yoink and Drop Over, and I'll be looking at all of them. But there's also some other applications, smaller things like X Menu. SideNotes we've looked at, that's kind of cool, isn't it? SideNotes is kind of cool, go on, admit it. SideNotes, I would consider it to be both standalone and work as a helper application for the Finder. So we're going to look at all of those. It's going to cost a fortune, isn't it? Right, okay, so coming up. Obviously, we are back next week on the 7th of May, Friday night. But before then, Mad May starts. Do you realise we're now into May? We went into May 30 minutes ago. So we are now in Mad May. And our first one, I finally finished the poster. I know it's garish. I'm trying to get to number 1 in YouTube with it. I'm at number 4 at the moment, behind 3 videos all about data merge from Affinity themselves. But sunglasses at the ready. You'll notice that on YouTube, won't you? It wasn't designed for aesthetics, it was designed for impact. And it is happening on Sunday at 3 o'clock, which is 8 a.m. Pacific and 10 a.m. Eastern. In the UK, it's 3 o'clock, and in Europe, I do believe it is 4 o'clock. And we are deep diving data merge, so it's going to be fun. I'll probably repurpose
7 o'clock.
What? 7 o'clock what?
It's not 8 o'clock.
What did I say?
8 o'clock.
Pacific?
Yeah.
No, it's 7 o'clock. Sorry, it's 7 o'clock. I just don't want you to be upset about getting up that early. But I know Kim's so good at that.
Kim can't make it.
Oh, no!
She put it in the chat.
Oh, no! Is it too early?
Kim's already been to the YouTube site.
Oh, right, okay. In that case, you know where it is then. Right, on demand, of course, we have everything else. So youtube.com/ElaineGiles is where you will find it all. We even have a dedicated MacBites After Hours playlist, which you can get to from macbites.co.uk/After Hours playlist. And we also are still marooned at MacBites headquarters, having a complete ball. Can you imagine if we're still marooned at the point the iPad arrives sometime before the end of my natural life, I'm hoping.
When you least expect it.
Oh, it'll arrive when I least expect it. Yes, you're quite right. That I have to sit with it on my desk, not unboxed during Marooned. There will be tears, I'm telling you. But we are still marooned. Oh, what does Tracy have that she's data merging? Just in time, let me know. Oh, poor Johnny. Poor Johnny. Right, our feed is there. We had what we could only describe as an hour from hell this morning trying to make all of the feeds work. So we're going to need to do some more work over that. We didn't break them, but in the end, we deleted them, recreated them, and that was fine. Bad words were said, weren't they, Mike?
Very bad words.
Very, very bad words were said, and I got quite cranky with Mike. Poor Mike. Because Mike was saying, can't we do X? And I'm like, it's XML, you can't do that. But we fixed it in the end. All right, all of that is going to be on MacBites FM. We love you guys. If you love us, can you give us a like? It really makes a difference. Right, ElaineGiles.com/VIP is where you will get follow-up mails with time links in for the stuff that we do and first dibs on everything. So there will be mails going out tomorrow about that. But everything MacBites goes on macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. And of course, there's the Slack chat room where we have an absolute ball. It's where we carry on the conversation all week. There's so much sharing goes on in there. It's such a wonderful, wonderful community. It's free to join. You just need to go to macbites.co.uk/Slack. And there we go. There's the comms. So if I head over here and push some magic buttons, let's do that. And then that will... Poor Jonathan. Poor Jonathan. Right, let's get that across.
Don't say poor Jonathan, because he's sound asleep.
I know he's sound. We've got to whisper, don't wake him up. But there again, Kim's already called it. So once it's called, isn't it? Right,
See you, Tony.
Good night to you, Tony. I need to go there and I need to press magic buttons. And are we ready? There's a 1 button there. And we're up to 18. Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Good morning to you, Jonathan. Right, so we are done. Let me get over there so you can see that. So I think Carol is sending me something to do with a hatch pattern, aren't you? So get that over to me. And if you've got any other requests, I am still taking requests for Mad May, because I still haven't made my mind up. But I'm going to have to get a wiggle on with that. So tomorrow's going to be dedicated to catching up with all of that. Somebody spent far too long in book club. But somebody will rectify that this week. Oh, right. Lots of thank yous coming in. You're very, very welcome. Good to have you with us. I wonder what we'll do next week. In fact, we've still got the Canva thing to carry on with. Now we've got the how do we pick colours off a screen thing. So that's a good topic. And we've still got the Finder to finish off. Ooh.
I was looking at my feedback from that webinar. And
that was the mother and father of all webinars. Tell them how many people were on your webinar.
There was about 1,200 people on this webinar. Unfortunately, I didn't get paid for it because some of the webinars I do, I get paid per delegate. Some of it's a flat fee, and some of them I do for nothing, do for the love of it. But they send me the feedback through, and it's like awesome. And then one said Bob was amazing.
Who's Bob?
Bob, yeah. What a great impression I made.
That's genius. So, if you've enjoyed Excel, it was Mike. If not, it was Bob. Love it. Right, okay.
I'll just change my name to MacBites Siri.
Oh, yeah, now that goes down well. Oh, poor Siri. Siri got updated. That was bad news. Siri's still sulking. If you've heard the show, you'll know exactly what I mean.
Don't spoil it.
But there's no spoilers. There's no spoilers for the show. Oh, you're all very, very welcome. Joyce says, thank you for the great tips. You're very welcome. Oh, yeah, instead of Mike and Bob, it could be Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby
We're
and
liking
Mikey.
that. We are liking that. Is Bob your uncle? Oh, you're going to like this. I did have an Uncle Bob. I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my dad's brother was called Robert,
Yeah.
and I called him Uncle Bob. He was Uncle Bob. He was great. Loved Uncle Bob. His kind of humour was this. He said to me, we're going to Old Trafford one day. He was going to the match. We were going to the match. So he said, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you on the forecourt. You won't miss me. I'll have a red scarf on. Which, if you think at Old Trafford, yes, so does everybody else, Bob. Luckily, he was about 6'6" and built like a wrestler. So you'd find him anyway, and we did. He was great fun, was Uncle Bob. Died far too soon, didn't he, Mike? He died the year we met. So, yeah, 29 years ago. Poor guy. Great guy. Loved him. Right, okay then. We are going to head off. We will see you next time. So, for the moment, it's good night from me.
Oh, it's good night from me.
And as I say, we will both see you next time. In the meanwhile, stay safe, guys.